Ring, ring, ring. Hello, priest, and welcome back to Krown's magical jockey game.
Oh, baby, we are back. We are back, and oh, so much has happened in the last 24 hours. This is a great day. Hey, what the fuck is this? We have a flying dog in the camera right now. What the hell is going on over here? Pomeranian's gone wild, and we have a lot to talk about. But before we get into what we're talking about, there is some very interesting conversations going on in the comments right now, which is great, man. But I do feel compelled to perhaps help with this conversation. Okay, there seems to be a little bit of confusion about what a bull trap or a bear trap means. A bull trap traps bulls. A bear trap traps bears. A bull trap is bearish. A bear trap is bullish. There you go. It's essentially the same thing. Whatever it is, that is what they're trapping. And what we have going on right now is a fucking crab trap market is what we really have going on. And pigs are getting slaughtered each and every goddamn way. So yesterday we did see a bit of a breakdown. Didn't necessarily hit the $27,000 first target, of which getting a little bit of trappy action back above the $32,000 pivot that we spoke about from yesterday's video. There we go. Doggy bullish. There you go. Anyways, so that actually is very, 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 very important. And this is why we were talking about those potential trappy-like situations that were going on in the underlying market dynamics yesterday. And it looks like price action is actually, well, further confirmed that a little bit later yesterday. So I do feel like I'm like a complete fucking moron, of course, uploading that shorts video yesterday, because we did go over continuation targets to the downside, but we also did go over the trap targets as well. So this is why it's very, very important to be looking at the actual, looking at and very, very much paying attention to the actual content. By the way, I want to say a massive thank you. Holy fuck, man. We already have a shit ton of people in here, and somehow we've got, this is like the most likes we've had the earliest. I think we had like over 100 likes before the video even started. Massive thank you for that. That really does help. Let me turn off the alerts before Scott Carney starts blowing it up, but we'll get to that a bit later. Anyways, I do want to say, and I don't want to waste any time for anyone here. Bitcoin very likely does probably test up to about 36,000 bucks within maybe even today or tomorrow. It's looking pretty damn good. Anyways, remember the big sort of thing that I came out with on Monday, right? Where we said, hey, there's something that's going to happen this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday, somewhere around the 24th. That would typically be indicative of a major pivot on the market, and that is going to be your quarterly futures, options, and many other economic events, obviously expiring. And then on top of that, we do see that a lot of asset managers and a lot of big hedge funds are going to be, rebalancing their portfolios around those times, typically speaking, as well. So this is what I was kind of coming off, off that data with. And if we go into the charts a little bit later, you will notice that every quarter we actually do see major, humongous pivots on the market. And in this case, I do think that we have, I do think that we have a bit of a stage set over here as well. Anyways, Bitcoin dominance at around 47%, which does imply exactly what we've been saying. As long as Bitcoin is essentially moving, it is not a good time for altcoins. And this is also a little bit compelling as well for some trappy action here, because while Bitcoin has essentially reclaimed the lower side of the daily range, we do not see most alts actually operate in the same vein. In fact, I took a little bit of a look at Dogecoin before getting onto this one, and we can see that it's actually still like very, 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 very low in comparison. So that is actually a good sign overall. We want to see a lot of these altcoins get washed out on this next move, whether it be to the upside or the downside on Bitcoin. That is good for the market. That is healthy for the market. We want to see a lot of these meme tokens, pretty much anything that's, not legitimate, just get washed the fuck out. Obviously, they're not going to be going to zero, or at least very unlikely to be going to zero, but if they become less and less relevant, that is a good and healthy thing in my experience long term. Anyways, Fear and Greed Index also popping up 4 points from a 10 to a 14, which is rather interesting because Bitcoin actually did put in what I think is a rather obvious trap right there, and we only popped up about 4 points on that, on that read, which is extremely interesting to me, actually. Open interest was a big portion of yesterday's analysis, saying that, hey, we actually do have potential for trap right here. And what do you know? We do still hang out right around 5.8 billion with a B, that is. So it's really been unchanged from yesterday to today, even though Bitcoin has traveled, I guess round trip about 6,000, 7,000 bucks, right? Going from about 33 yesterday down to about 28, 29, and then back up to 30, basically 33 today. I mean, some pretty damn nice price action right there, with a lot of with a lot of opportunity in between. Anyways, with that said, let's get into the market data tab right here. Let's see what we got going on, and let's hey, appreciate that, Evglion. Very much appreciate that, man. Thank you. Anyways, looking at this right on over here, I want to once again point out the funny rates. Remember, the funny rates being this negative, alongside Bitcoin essentially reclaiming the daily range, does really play into that trappy analysis. So the underlying market dynamics, while they're never going to be enough on their own, they need to be combined with price action. We've actually seen both of them combined. Remember, yesterday's area was 32,000 bucks for trappy confirmed, and we also saw a lot of underlying market dynamics like this kind of in the same posture as well. And we see the majority of exchanges actually posted negative rates. Not anything too crazy, to be fair, but FTX, OKX, and Huobi a little bit more out there at negative 0.042 for OKX as the most aggressive one. And we really don't see any exchanges outside of Bybit that are actually positive. Base facts probably irrelevant, and Femex is kind of always stuck right there. In fact, we should just get rid of that one, if anything. Anyways, what else do we see that is of particular interest here? Actually, not all that much. Bitcoin dominance, obviously continuing with the uptrend. I do still stick with what I've been saying there. I do think that we will head up north of 50%, maybe even a little bit more than that before the next sort of short-term pullback. And that is going to imply that most altcoins are not going to be keeping up pace with Bitcoin, whether it be to the upside or the downside. Altcoins are probably going to either gain less versus US dollar in upside moves, and they're probably going to lose more versus US dollar in downside moves on Bitcoin, respectively speaking, in general, of course. Anyways, we have a couple big, other big underlying market dynamic things to be speaking about as well. Going back into the put call data over here. Remember, we came into the last couple weeks hitting a big emphasis on this monthly's closures. Again, to put it in perspective, this is why quarterly closure is so fucking important. Look at these Junes right here. They overshadow anything else on the board by several magnitudes, and it's been like that for about a month and a half now. So it's not just because it's June. It's not just because it's the nearest expiration. I mean, this was consistent coming in from like the last month to about a month and a half, I believe. And this has only grown in its stature. And what do you know? This is, again, expiring on the 25th. That means this Friday, essentially, at, I believe, 11 my time. So it's like 9 a.m. British Standard Time, I believe, if my model of time zones is proper. Anyways, we do see the $36,000 put strike is a massive pin right there. And that actually does play into my short-term targets on this trap move back up to about $36,000. So I would go as far as saying that probably by Friday, I actually would say that there is a great probability that Bitcoin even closes above $36,000. And that can lead up the way for a little bit of continuation coming into, into maybe early July. Anyways, with that said, let's go over here into the actual price action charts themselves. I think it's time. I think it is time. And let's go on. What's up, Super Googly? I see you, my friend. A Morningstar pattern. A Morningstar, do you mean a hammer? A hammer dildo right there? Okay, let's go over the price action from the last 24 hours. I think this is rather important. And let's go into the short-term timeframes right here. So what did we say yesterday? We were essentially bearish, or at least I was essentially bearish, whether you followed me on that or not. That's completely fine. But I was looking lower. I was looking lower towards about 27 to as like a first major target. We didn't quite get there. Obviously, Bitcoin got down as much as 28.5. It looks like on Bitstamp, which is what I kind of basing that one off of. And what did we say after that? Well, if we are going to have a trap situation, I would be looking at $32,000. Just $32,000. Doesn't even really need to close back above there, as we did identify on the shorts video from yesterday. And what do you know? Actually, pretty much right after that initial drop, we get bought back on up in a relatively aggressive manner. And what do we have? I mean, this has also been done on volume right here as well. Our first biggest volume spike within this whole consolidation, going all the way back to May 19th of this year once again. So I do like this for right now, and I do essentially have a short-term bullish bias on this, very likely all the way up to the daily 21 exponential average right here, based off of the fact that we do have 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish divergence potentially in progress. And I would say that this is probably front runnable in this case. Technically speaking, if we do close the next 12-hour dildo, basically anywhere here or higher, I'd say that becomes a little bit more, a little bit more solidified. But in this case, do I think that it'd be appropriate to front run a situation like this? I'll put it this way: I've closed my shorts, so I don't want to be talking my book right now. I'm not necessarily long, but I have closed my shorts. Although yesterday was rather embarrassing, honestly. I had my short positions, which I closed strong majority of it right around $31,000. Holding the rest for about 27 and then perhaps even $25,000, but ended up leaving a lot of those profits on the table. Ended up closing above 31.5 actually. So a little bit of a silly trade right there, but that's what a trap's supposed to do. A trap is supposed to get you in the fucking trap, as it implies. And there you go. It definitely got me. Anyways, with that said, I do like this potential regular bullish divergence coming in over here. 3 drives of bullish divergence on the daily, on the lows, typically is good enough for a major low, not necessarily a macro low. So while I do think that Bitcoin does have some upside here, probably up to the 21 exponential average in this case, which is, around 36,500, I do feel a little bit hesitant to be calling more than that. But that does offer up a humongous pivot on the other side of this. So while I'm not necessarily calling anything more than that right now, I do think that this does have potential for more, obviously, and here would be the condition that I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for Bitcoin to close a daily dildo above the 21 exponential average, which is currently speaking right around about 36,420, essentially. Great number right there. And if that were to happen, I'd be looking for another move all the way back up to the top side of the range, which is basically like 39,000 to 40,000 bucks. Still, it is more or less a daily range here, and I do want to pull you on over into this as well. So So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go over the exact same thing that we went over yesterday. That was also kind of playing into a potential trappy situation, right? So let's take off all these major moving averages except for a couple right here, and let's go with that. Okay, that one we don't need. This one, okay, I think everything else we do need. Yes, okay, great. All right, so put the focus right now, or actually let's get rid of the 200 simple as well. Okay, so put the focus right now on the green 55 exponential average, the purple 200 exponential average, and the blue 377 exponential average. Now memorize what's going on right here. The 377 support, well, it's somewhat supporting, and the green 55 and purple 200 essentially hinting at a bit of a cross. And actually, I will put back on the 200 simple right here as well, represented by the white moving average. You'll understand why in a second. So let's go back to the last time that we had a similar situation to this. And where was that? That was actually way the fuck back on over here, the exact same situation that we went over yesterday on October 2019. And what happened in this situation? Bitcoin is consolidating between the 200 exponential average and the 377. Initially drops below there on one closure, spends one day kind of hanging there and making you second guess yourself, and then the next day, massive girthy green dildo party into the what would have been the death cross. But of course, without these actually crossing each other, it is just that, a failed. It's not even a failed cross. It's essentially a bait cross, essentially a trap cross in the way that I look at it. I fucking love those signals actually when you typically do see some major cross about to happen and then price action just absolutely shoots right through it. That shows conviction within the market, and you very likely will get continuation to the next major area. In this case, this one went on for another, I think, like pretty impressive run right here. Yeah, about a 20% run after that. Of course, you can see that this did not actually reverse the macro here. So keep that in mind. I'm not calling a macro low off this. I do think it's possible, but the same conditions that I've been looking for throughout the last month and a half now still very much apply. We have not gotten all three of those aspects. And if we go back to our current price action right here, this is essentially what we're looking at right now. Could we be seeing something relatively similar? Perhaps yes. And as we did see in the last iteration of this, the 200 simple was essentially where, price action obviously did close above it for a little bit of time, but it is kind of where it found its base before, well, further downside. So while I do think that is rather compelling for a little bit of continuation on the trap, recognize that there is a differential between the short-term timeframes and medium-term timeframes and the high and the macro timeframes. Right now, I think the short-term timeframes are rather obvious. A move back up to 36 or 36.5 is certainly not out of the question, and that comes with a contingency on the other side as well. There always need to be something like that, and it's pretty damn simple right here. As long as Bitcoin's above basically the same pivot as yesterday, we could move it up a bit to about 32.5 in this case. So as long as Bitcoin remains above about 32.5, even on I would even say even on a wick basis, but technically speaking, would want to see a closure. Maybe we could go down to a 2 hour just to be a little bit more lenient with it and more aggressive with it. But as long as that condition is not met, as long as Bitcoin does not violate that area, I actually, I would be looking further north. We do see kind of like a fucked up descending broadening wedge here too. I typically don't draw these out because I'm not a humongous fan of them, but it does fit my bias right here. So why the hell not? So something like this, you have a little bit of a broadening wedge. Typically speaking, these are kind of looked at in the same vein as falling channels, which are typically resolved statistically speaking to the upside, and typically your target's going to be right around the median of the actual range, and guess where that is? 36,000 and some odd change. Now I want to bring you to this over here as well, or first before I go over to this, and let me just delete these silly diagonal trend lines, which I absolutely fucking despise. And what I want to show you now is I want to show you what we've been looking at also, or had drawn in here, basically going back a month ago, this red sort of accumulation area right here. Now if this really is going to turn into the next like major trap, maybe even a spring, you might be saying on a Wyckoff sort of analysis, well, I would be looking at this as generally holding here, and on the daily it actually has held. In hindsight, kind of strange. I didn't necessarily anticipate. I mean, while I did draw this out here, I didn't necessarily think that it was going to work out this well, which is kind of funny. But it is hard to ignore. It is very difficult to ignore that we do have the etchings of the Wyckoff accumulation schematic over here, with phase C going into the spring just below our prior lows, gets out all of the long stops, and then essentially gets all the short breakout traders trapped, and then we essentially march our way up to the top side of the range once again. So what we'd be expecting right now is we'd be expecting essentially just a small stair step up to about $36,000 if this is going to play out. A little bit of a pullback from $36,000 to say, I guess it would be like the next relevant level. In this case, I'd probably be back down to about 35, we'll call it, and then march back up all the way to the top side of the range at about $40,000. Above there, things become a lot more interesting, and because we do have a potential head and shoulders right here, I'd say that this is seen as its head and shoulders. I mean, obviously it's popping back above the neckline. That's a pretty damn good signal. It's not going to work out. In fact, it's certainly not the right thing to be looking at right now. That was a potential yesterday, but with yesterday's closure, I would say no longer anymore. And with that in mind, we actually could have a swing failure pattern on the other side. And head and shoulders formations are honestly more useful in their continuation format than their reversal format. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I'd stand by that statement because it's useful in both ways. I don't think they have like the best hit rate of all time, but I do find that the continuation variety of them actually does have a higher hit rate. The problem with them is that it does take a little bit more to confirm. And in this case, what do we have? Well, here would be your left shoulder, here would be your complex head, and here would be your right shoulder right here. How do you confirm a swing failure pattern on this sort of a formation? Well, the first big thing would be obviously popping back above your neckline after breaking it. That was that move yesterday on closure above 32,000 bucks. And then the next big one, the one that we can actually derive some actual targets from, would be this area right here. Would be looking at the right shoulder, taking the width of the breadth of this formation, and then applying it to a potential breakout above this region. That implies that a break above this area right here, just our current high of this format, which on a closing basis on a daily is 40,500, then we would essentially complete that and probably I don't know if I feel comfortable saying this, but technically speaking, this would be your measure move, and it actually be pointed up towards about 69,000 bucks and some odd change, and perhaps even continuation implied onto that over time. So I do actually rather like that. But of course, that is not playable right now. We've only completed the first sort of step of this. So it definitely does keep up the Boolah's hopes. Once again, it looks like the hoping that we spoke about yesterday is essentially coming to fruition, at least in the short and medium term timeframes. And then I'd be looking at this, level by level after that as well. Let's go over here to our momentum, let's save that for later. I'll save the fucking moon bullshit for later because it is kind of funny right now. But anyways, looking at our momentum oscillators over here, what do we see? We see 12-hour Stoics pointed back up. We see daily looking like it's actually it's 35.5 is a magical number on this one, but it will be testing around the bearish control zone, which typically is a bit of a point of contention. So I would keep an area in that I'd keep an eye on that area obviously today. If you see a closure today above 35.5, that would also be the next sort of, decent signal for this trap playing out, not just a 36 or 36.5, but probably all the way to the top of the range at 40,000 bucks. Again, these are only possibilities. I need to see proof, not promises, just in the same way that we spoke about yesterday. And this market's actually getting pretty damn difficult right here. Like yesterday was actually quite a difficult trading day. Anyways, going to the lower term timeframes, obviously 4-hour momentum going to be remaining to the upside as long as we're above 29.6. So that is not necessarily in danger on the next closure, unless we have a $4,000 dump between then and now. Possible, yes. Probable, I don't think so. 3-hour is going to be 29,750. Bi-hourly is going to be 33,450, and hourly is going to be flip-flopping around at 34.2. So do we get a pullback in between there? Perhaps yes, but ultimately I do like this for a short-term reversal. We also do have an inverted head and shoulders here now that I look at it on the hourly as well. So let's go down into the very low-term timeframes, into the crack trader timeframes right here, and let's see what the measure move on this inverted head and shoulders would actually be, because it is actually relatively well documented with a neckline right around 33,000 bucks on an hourly. We've already closed above that, so that would initiate the next sort of measure move on these. Again, I'm not the biggest pattern trader myself, but I do think it deserves merit here, as it does essentially align with my next sort of target on the daily at 36,500-ish region, give or take a few bucks. So I do like that. Also in line with the hourly 200 simple, kind of, is curling down a little bit right there. But ultimately, this I'm happy to be short-term, medium-term bullish as long as Bitcoin's above 32,500 now, especially on an hourly close. Would I use a wick in this case? I probably would use a wick in this case, but this looks like a decent trap to myself. The volume signature speaks volumes, to use a bad alliteration right there. But let me pull it up. There we go. This is the biggest volume spike that we've seen in this whole consolidation. So this is a particular interest right here. Sorry, it's not the biggest one. It's the biggest one since obviously May 19th on this major dump right here. But this is a change of behavior right now, and reclaiming the range on volume is a pretty damn good signal, in the same way that when Bitcoin did actually close on a higher high over here, it was essentially rejected. This one not done on volume, but a trappy situation nonetheless. So I do think that Bitcoin has very, very likely some short-term upside here, depending upon how the response is at 36,500, which I would be looking for an initial pullback. I could extend targets to the top side of the range, and then I'd still take it one by one. And then of course we do take out what would have been that right shoulder, which I don't think that this is, you cannot argue that this is a head and shoulders any longer in my opinion. Then technically speaking, there's going to be targets much higher. Now, of course, this is not in any way, shape, or form. I need to be very careful with what I say here. This is not in any way, shape, or form what would confirm a macro low for myself. What I'm looking for in a macro low is still the same shit that we've been speaking about here for quite some time. And to be quite frank, we do not have any of the signatures that we'd be looking for on that. The hash ribbon signal over here is very far away from printing a blue buy signal. In fact, we are still within the recovery phase, and as you can see over the last few days, it's just gotten more and more dispersed, and that is going to imply that it's going to take longer to come back in and potentially even give the potential for a signal in the same way that we have seen in the past. But if we can get a blue buy signal, that would be the biggest, most important piece of information, alongside something resembling a higher low on the daily, nothing fucking less. If we get those two things, very strong likelihood that we actually do have a macro low in, and then I want to see volatility expanding in that direction. And right now, we're actually seeing volatility expanding off of a bit of a trap. So I actually don't know what to make of that right now, because that is, well, it's a little bit too early to kind of analyze something like that right now, actually. If once we get today's daily dildo closure, if it closes above about $36,000, that would be actually very confidence inducing from this particular metric right here for at least continuation on the daily. But again, I want to see that coupled up with a higher low on the daily at the very fucking least, and then the blue buy signal on the hash ribbons indicator right here. I've also been getting a lot of questions about the hash ribbons indicator. People asking, why doesn't hash ribbons indicator work on gold? Because it's literally only for Bitcoin. it's going off of the miners. That would be why. Anyways, okay, cool. Let's go talk about some fun shit over here. The moons. Guess what? We have a new fucking moon, and I can't get over this right now because looking at the moons, in the last month, I'd probably be a more profitable trader just trading the moons, which is fucking pathetic. But it's hard to ignore here. And guess what? It looks like we're going to get one of the bull moons coming in, I think today or tomorrow. So that coupled up with the end of quarter, with all of the rebalancing that's going to be going on, with all of the options expirations, with all of the futures expirations, and everything else that we've spoken about, I do think that this is at the very least a strong likelihood for continuation on this short-term trap, and then potential for a macro low. It is not in there just yet. Again, the conditions that we laid out are extremely fucking clear. It's not goddamn in there. I know that I'm going to get misheard on this plenty of times, so I do need to just kind of learn to accept it. But at the end of the day, man, it's a potential yes, and I really do like how Bitcoin's reclaimed the range thus far, especially on those shorter term timeframes right here. And again, if Bitcoin comes back down below $32,000, no longer good. This one will come back down below 30 after that. I mean, this bounce would just be completely faded. But for right now, I do quite like this, actually. I do quite like this. And we do see several drafts of bullish divergence already being confirmed. Or actually, did we confirm it on the 12-hour? Yeah, we have. Actually, I would not say that we've confirmed on the 12-hour just yet, but it's looking fine here. If we close anywhere here or higher, anywhere above 33.5, it's going to be confirmed. And we will have multiple drafts coming in from these last few lows, as we are making significantly higher lows on RSI. We made significantly lower lows on RSI over here on the first initial dump from 19th and 21st of May. Anyways, with that said, is it time to get into the chatties, or do we want to talk about a few other things? Yeah, let's talk about a few other things first. Okay, let's go look at Ethereum. I want to be looking at Ethereum right now. Before that, let's put back on all major movement averages right here. And I want to see what some of the other like major market leaders are kind of, looking like right here, as we, expect to see them not looking as shitty, right? Oh, by the way, sorry, before we get into that, I should denote, yes, remember at the beginning of this week as well, we had a big focus on the 5-day right here. We said, while it does, while it's not necessarily closing like next day or today, it is actually going to be closing at the end of this week. If we do close the 5-day above $35,000, I do say that also, and I said this at the beginning of the week as well, this does keep up the Bulaw's hopes for now. And I feel like I'm missing something else big. Fuck. All right, well, whatever. We'll just get on to Ethereum right now. You, sir, are moon chill. That's right, man. I'm chilling the moon. You're actually, Robin's actually the one who sent me this paper on the moon that showed over the last, I think it was you, Robin. Was it you, Robin, or maybe it's something else? Someone in the Discord sent me a paper on moon analysis that just fucking blew my mind. And I'm like, am I stupid for believing this, or is this real? And then I went back and back tested and what the fuck? How is this working? How is this actually fucking working? All right, anyways. I eat raw eggs, immediate crap my pants. Mux, daily, please. No problem, man. No problem. Please share this voodoo magic moon indicator for Bitcoin. It's just type in moon phases. It's literally a built-in on TradingView. It's not even a user-made indicator. It's literally built-in on TradingView. Just type in moon phases. It'll pop up. It's in the public library. Anyone can get it. Again, I always feel compelled to say, look, when I'm looking at something like that, I don't know how much I trust it, man. I don't want to become known as a fucking moon guy, but Like look at all these signals that worked out. All right, this one worked out, didn't work out. So we got, let's just count all the ones that didn't work out. This one didn't work out, I'd say. This one kind of did work out. This one, yeah, it kind of worked out. Didn't really work out, no. This one I'd say worked out generally speaking, yeah, right around there on the actual time fib as well. Other than that, pretty much all of them did except for this one. So about 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Fair enough. I'll just leave that right there. Goddamn dogs won't shut up. Anyways, okay, let's go over here to Ethereum. Let's see how Ethereum's doing. Ethereum does not look nearly as potentially promising as Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum right here, yeah, it is bouncing off the 200 simple on the daily, which is pretty damn classic stuff. But this is, you know, this does not look too damn good to me. So it's really up to Bitcoin to put the market in its backpack and potentially carry it on. I mean, it could be a situation where Bitcoin, you know, trades back up to $36,000, rejects there, and then we see the rest of the market kind of come down. Definitely possible as well. So that is why I'm not calling a macro low here. I'm just calling a low and very likely short-term continuation. But 36 to 36.5 is the next sort of pivot on price action. If Bitcoin rejects from there, I'd probably be looking for a lot of these things to come back down lower. Ethereum, you know, certainly is not out of the woods right here. I mean, this does not look too damn hot. Yes, we probably do bounce back up to like 2150, maybe even 2200 it looks like. Looking at daily RSI right here, do we even have bullish divergence possible? No, we do not. We actually made lower lows on RSI. That's not fucking good right there. Short-term time frames, like the 4-hour looks, yeah, it's looking prime for a little bit of upside. We do see 4-hour Joule giving a pretty damn good signal right there. About one dildo after a low, multiple drives of bullish divergence as well. Yeah, I'd be looking for this one to trade up, actually somewhere around like 2200 most likely. And that's probably going to equate to Bitcoin somewhere around about 36.5-ish region. And that's the next sort of, I suppose, big test. If we top out right there, it's going to be a long ways down still. Valid targets in the mid to deeper $20,000 territory. But until that happens, I suppose enjoy the Boolah's party for right now. Anyways, what about the 12-hour? Do we see anything of interest right here? We got a 12-hour death cross coming, but that is not a good example of one. So I'd probably ignore that one in this case. 2-day looks like shit. 3-day looks like shit. 5-day also looks like shit, and weekly looks like mega shit. So again, altcoins are kind of fading expectations here, I'd say. I'm curious if we have any other big altcoins to be looking at that typically hold some weight, hold some sway in this market. I'm curious what Matic is doing, for example. Matic is kind of one of the better acting alts. Pretty damn good response at, on the weekly 21 right there. I do like that, actually. Definitely still one of the more stronger alts, and probably does trade back up towards 136, maybe even 140 on this current bouncy bounce right here. Do we have bullish divergence possible? Actually, I don't believe we do. We didn't really make new lows below the major low from 19 to 21 on May. So fair enough on that as well. Anyways, okay, so we spoke about the Wyckoff, we spoke about the trap, we spoke about the short-term, medium-term expectations on that. We talked about continuation potential and also what to look for in an actual rejection as well. Is there anything else that I want to get out here before we move on? Yeah, let's go look at traditional markets, because this actually does support a bit of Bitcoin Boolah-ishness, I suppose, as well. All right, let's go back to NASDAQ and traditional markets. Elsa, you hear that? She got it? I think she got it. Anyways, Elsa's doing the timestamps from now on, so there you go. Now everyone knows she's very shy, so she's going to need some encouragement. Anyways, looking at the daily right here for NASDAQ, we do see it closing on new all-time highs. We did say that this was likely to print new all-time highs this week, and I still stick with my long-term targets of $15,000. I know it looks fucking ridiculous right here. It is ridiculous, no doubt about this. It's kind of similar to when Bitcoin was like above $50,000. It's like, look, you know what's coming at some point, but is it at the point right now? No, I do not believe so. I believe that we have another continuation drive. Weekly is confirming a hidden bullish divergence right there, closing on new all-time highs. Volatility is actually falling throughout this whole formation as well on this consolidation from February highs where we're at right now. So it looks good, actually. This actually looks pretty damn good to me, and I would be looking for a general continuation out of this region. Now, I would not identify this as an ascending triangle. If anything, this kind of would be a rising wedge, and rising wedges actually do work out decently well in traditional markets. But as you can see right here, it's actually busting above the top side of that wedge. So fair enough in that regard, as that would be it's not necessarily a failure of the pattern. It's just, it's as important to kind of identify when patterns don't break in the same way that you would expect them, statistically speaking. Because technically speaking, a rising wedge typically breaks to the downside. In this case, we have it breaking to the upside, it looks like, as of yesterday's closure. closure. Daily Jewel is giving a continuation signal. Yes, it's fucking aggressive. I don't think it has that much more in it, but the next move is very likely to the upside. And can we come up with any sort of continuation targets? I suppose we could. Right here. Let's try this, or actually let's go back to the daily. We can come up with some areas of interest to the upside, I suppose, but this one's going to be difficult here. This one's going to be very shaky. I'm not too confident on this one, to be honest with you. Short-term continuation targets would be, I'd be looking for a range between about 14,550 and 14,350, kind of big right there, to be fair. And then, do we have my $15,000 target on the map? We do, but it's going to imply an overshoot of that region. So fair enough. I would still be very, very cautious around there, but for now, yes, I do remain bullish on this, and all momentum oscillators are still looking fucking good right now, actually. Looking at SPY futures, what are we seeing right here? Okay, so this one this one I'm going to be wrong about at the end of last week as well. I was looking for another test to the downside. We did not get that. Instead, what we got a higher low, which we identified yesterday as potential. Now today is confirmed, so that is going to be in a trap, not necessarily a trap because we didn't necessarily close on new lows, but I like what's going on right here. Hidden bullish divergence off that last low into your prior all-time high. This looks good as well. I don't have any major issues with this. Yes, it can come back down and test around our rising trend line right here. I wouldn't necessarily say that's broken out just yet, but things are looking more or less good on the whole. Looking at the weekly right here, this is almost going to be a bullish engulfing dildo with any sort of a tick above last week's high, which is 42.58 and a quarter. I'd be looking for this one to go on a little bit of a melt to the upside. And of course, we do have the quarterly closing soon. So looking at the monthly, I mean, this is gonna have a chance to close on new all-time highs, and there's nothing fucking bearish about that, at least for the short term, for the short and medium term on this time frame. So keep that in mind. Stock market still, as crazy as it sounds, it's good to go. We can go check out Dixie as well. Also remember that one, and this is the last one I'll give you. All right, so Dixie over here. I do still think it's possible that we do get another move back up somewhere around the highs of this rally, somewhere around like 92.5, maybe even as much as 92.80. But as we said at the beginning of this week, or maybe it was at the end of last week, whenever we got last Friday closure. So I guess it was last Friday. Anyways, as long as we're operating on lower highs on the weekly, this is still long-term bearish, and we do still have a long-term downtrend. And while we didn't necessarily hit that next sort of major area at 92.80-ish region, we got pretty fucking close there at 92.50, it looks like. So if this one does start to confirm a lower high right here, that'd be the next major thing that I'd be looking for to remain generally bullish on all markets. Now, of course, we have a long 7 days left to go for this month to kind of close out, but you can see that there, you can very easily see that it can go both ways here. I still do stick with the higher term timeframes in this case, and we do have a bi-yearly closing at that time, and the bi-yearly is in quite literally a downtrend. I think it's a lot easier to look at when you look at it in the inverted view right here, and I think a lot of people would have a lot more of an easy time identifying this as bullish, even though the Christmas dildo colors right here are inverted, so it's a little more confusing. But you can basically look at this in the same way that you look at like a euro dollar, which is almost an inverted version of this. Not exactly the same, but it does have a bit more history, which does kind of help with these sorts of things. And I think it's a little more obvious here too, which you look at the euro dollar right here. I mean, this is just one macro 50-year uptrend going in from January of 72. Higher low right here, higher low right here, a couple pairs of higher lows right there. And seeing as we just took out the median of this range on the last bi-yearly close in January, that is, then I'd probably be looking for this one to trade back up towards 137. I mean, long term, like 137. Next sort of major pivot is going to be the 125 and a half high right here. So fair enough on that as well. And again, that does kind of support that Dixie probably does put in a lower high right there. I would still want to see it proven, obviously, but you can see that it's definitely definitely a possibility alongside our quarterly closure. So keep that in mind. And I just want to go back to Bitcoin for a second here. The last thing that I'll kind of leave you with on Bitcoin is what I alluded to at the beginning of this week with the quarterly closures, and by extension the half year closures as well. But every major pivot on this price action, or maybe not every major pivot on this price action, but all quarterly closes have been met with humongous pivots on price action, all of them. Now, not necessarily, I'm not saying that you only get major pivots on price action at quarterly closes. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when you get a quarterly close, it's almost always a major pivot on price action. So let's just backtest this for a second here together. And when was our last quarterly close? That would have been March, end of March, early April. Well, where was early April? That was pretty much on the fucking high of Bitcoin right here. That's rather interesting. Okay, but that's just one iteration. Let's go a little bit further back. When was the last quarterly close before that? End of December, early January. Where was that? literally right fucking here before this major pivot all the way to the downside, putting on a first corrective move on this, on this whole rally. And that was a 32% move, very, very much relevant. What one was the last one before that? I believe that would be late September, early October. So that would be right around here. Oh, the major low, the last macro low before this 6x move to the upside. Rather interesting. When would be the last one before that? That would be June. End of June, early July of the prior, year, and that'd be right here on this, leading into this major move right here too. Not bad, man. Not bad at all. And then just one more. Let's go back to late March, early April, the quarter before that. And what was that? That was literally your coronavirus dump lows. I think that this is rather compelling here. I mean, you can see that all of these in the last year have worked out, as major pivots on the price action. And with the way that this 5-day and weekly are kind of shaping up right here, I do think that the Boulos hopes are still alive. I put a lot of emphasis on that trap that we saw yesterday, and I have no reason to believe that this is not a trap, or at least not a significant trap, as long as you're above 32,500. So it's basically the same pivot as yesterday, a little bit higher than yesterday now, and this looks at least short-term, medium-term good with potential for more long-term. So fair enough. Yesterday was a difficult trading day, no doubt, and congratulations to all the people who made a shit ton of money yesterday. I gave up a little bit of money more than anything else. Kind of embarrassing, but hey, man, I do want to be open and honest about that sort of things because I'm not a fucking perfect trader, and I also want to be like a little bit on the positive side as well. It's like, look, you don't need to be a fucking perfect trader in order to make a shit ton of money. But in this case, I just instead of losing money, I fucking gave up a little bit of potential profit. So piece of shit Krown. Oh well, still make mistakes, and that's just the way that it is. Anyways, let's get on over here into the chats. I'll turn on the alerts right here, and let's see what we got as Elsa sends them through to me. Mr. Scott Carney is always first. ALYI daily weekly. If 10 cents breaks, what's next? Okay, ALYI. What is this? This is alternate systems on OTC. And if you're asking if 10 cents breaks, what's next? Okay, so right now, this one actually looks pretty damn good for the 4 hour, but let's go to a daily. Looks pretty damn good on a daily too. We have a nice pivot right here. You can see it's a reaccumulation after a macro reversal. Very, very nice. And you're asking specifically what happens after 10 cents breaks. So basically this high right here. Well, you don't need me to tell you that very likely does lead towards a retest of the highs of this run. Let's see where we are in the macro scale though. Oh, in the macro scale, we got a lot of work to do, of course, but I'd probably be looking at a run towards the prior high of that run. And do we have a lot of indications here that we are within the midst of a macro reversal? We do. I would be initially looking for a pullback from that 20 cent prior high, and then probably give it a chance to reaccumulate. And then if it wants to take out that high, I'd be looking at a target towards this is fucking crazy, but like 38-39 cents region. So this one actually is showing some promise right there. Pretty damn good. At least for the short and medium term, actually, I do like it. Ev Glion says, your TA is more indicator heavy than my style, but you're amazing. Hey, man, appreciate it. And your 25 cups of coffee persona, amazing. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, I do use, I do use quite a few indicators on these videos here, but understand, and I want to be very fucking deliberately clear with this. Look, as a trader, I do not use that many indicators. I use 3 indicators at most, and sometimes I use no indicators. Sometimes I've actually just been practicing recently just using price action, which I've been learning from a lot of guys in the Discord recently, and it's actually tied up a lot of loose ends. I wouldn't say like a humongous amount of loose ends, but like enough for me to be very much interested in it. Since I started like putting a lot of focus on it in the last couple months here. So, realistically, when I'm actually trading, I use a lot less indicators. And something that I've noticed throughout my history of trading is that the most successful traders that I know, they typically use very low amounts of indicators, 3 or less. Some of them use just 1, some of them use just 2, some of them don't use anything at all. Depends what their strategy is. But at the end of the day, my strategies pretty much always come down to some combination of this. I want to have an indicator for volatility, so I use BBWP for that. I want to have an indicator for momentum, so I'll either use like Stokes or RSI for that, and then I want to have an indicator for a trend or structure, which is mostly just based off of price action or can be identified by moving averages as well. So those are like equally as interesting portions for myself. When price action is trending, I use moving averages. When price action is ranging, I use structure and levels. So that kind of that's it's very simple stuff. It's very fucking simple stuff. And sometimes I'll just trade price action too. It's actually been pretty damn cool to do. I'm not as successful trading just price action than when combining it with a couple of indicators, but I do think that there's a lot of potential there, and definitely something worth learning, and definitely something worth checking out. We have a lot of guys in the Discord who are actually pretty damn good with that. Magic Nil's a fucking he's a master of it. Pena's pretty fucking good with it too. A few other guys are showing a lot of promise as well, and I think there's some some YouTube channels that exclusively go over it, like I think ICT's the big guy, and probably a few others as well. It's very, very good stuff. So as always, I'm always looking for new things, and that's probably been the biggest thing for me as of recent times. Anyways, that wasn't your question at all. You didn't even ask a fucking question, so I'm just ranting right now. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, 3 indicators or less. I strongly push back towards the traders who use like a shit ton of fucking indicators. I very rarely see those guys successful over time. Even when I was trading in the most professional sense on the floor of New York Stock Exchange ARCA, the guys who were running the most sophisticated strategies and whatnot, I mean, most of it was just, algo driven. So it's not really like, it's kind of like hard to say that. It was just coming down to a few things, but it'd still be more simple than what you probably guess. And I see a lot of these guys thinking that they want to be like a quant firm or something. And it's like, even quant firms aren't doing things like that. It's kind of funny, actually. So fair enough. Super Googly says Bitcoin and Ethereum mooning star pattern if they can close near Monday open. Where was Monday open? Monday open was here, I believe. Was that the 21st? Let me just double check my calendar. Yes, it was. So yeah, if we do close back above about 35.5, that would look pretty damn good. For myself, 36 to 36.5 is the major area. Pretty much right there anyways. What's $500 when you're talking about, like a $10,000 range? Not much. So yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you. A little bit higher as I do remain a bit more cautious here. But generally speaking, yeah, I do think that Bitcoin's got a chance here. Ken Doble says, good day to you. Dixie, good day to you as well, man. Dixie on the 14-day time frame. 14, do you like a bi-weekly? Yeah, we can look at that. Let's see. Where's my Dixie? Where's my Dixies over here? Dude, where's my Dixie? There we go. Let's go to, I think this is what you mean, the bi-weekly. Okay, so what are we looking at on Dixie right here? I mean, on the bi-weekly, it actually does look like it's having a chance to try higher, but it's pretty damn simple as far as I'm concerned here. It's pretty damn simple. Look, you got your last swing high right around 92.69, and as long as we're below there, you treat it as a lower high until proven otherwise. Do we have a setup here to potentially take that out to the upside? Yeah, we do. We certainly do, but and momentum oscillators actually suggests the same thing as well, in fact. So, that would be rather dastardly. Here's what I would say, though. Okay, so there's been a lot of focus on Dixie that I've seen from like a lot of other crypto YouTubers and crypto Twitters and crypto Redditors. I actually would push back on a lot of these statements that people kind of make. People make it seem like Dixie trades obtuse to Bitcoin on like the fucking 1 minute chart, or even on like a daily chart, or even on like a weekly chart. What I'm looking at on Dixie is macro trends. And here's the thing. You can see very, very clearly right here that from March 2020, or sorry, actually, this would be supporting what I'm saying. Here's a good one from, well, no, that actually would also not support it. Hold on, let me just double check here. Okay, yes, here we go. From October 2020 to December 2020, no, we were going up during that time as well. January 2021, yeah, January 2021 to March 2021, Bitcoin was going straight to the fucking upside. It was actually doing its parabolic top at that point. And what was Dixie doing? It was rallying as well. So on the macro scale, it matters. On the micro scale, like as far as like short-term trends goes, not as important in my opinion. So during this whole time, obviously from March 2020 to January 2021, this was macro down. Bitcoin was macro up, of course. From this area to here, it's still a lower high on the macro scale, but if you're kind of basing your trades with that theory in mind, that I think a lot of people are going off of, you would have been completely wrong. So this is why I only care about trend on this on this asset right here. But yes, looking at the weekly and bi-weekly, they actually look pretty damn similar here anyways. But to be fair, the bi-weekly actually is showing many signs of another try higher. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's done just yet for Mr. Dixie, but I would also kind of push back on like short-term statements of that mattering as much as I think people might be implying it does. Okay, cool. We see, yes. Yes, Mr. Elio, if you are listening right now, that would be a yes, sir. All right, let's see. Anyways, you're saying 200 EMA important, support and resistance, also retesting on support trend line from 2008, right now squeezed between two macro trend reversals incoming. Squeezed between two macro trend reversals incoming. Hold on, I'm not sure I see exactly, okay, hold on. Am I seeing exactly what you're looking at? Yeah, the 200 right there, yes, that is resistance, of course, but I mean, if we even just trade back above there, I mean, that's no longer a lower high, right? That would be a reversal, and we do have a higher low right there. I care more about trend on this one than I do most indicators, but to be fair, yeah, you are there. There certainly are a lot of signatures here that would suggest that we probably try another, give one more try to the upside. So fair enough. Okay, let's see. Ro. All right, we have to give a massive shout out to Ro today because Ro did the knife catch of destiny yesterday. Ro in the Discord, oh my god, Rosie's in the fucking Discord was trading Ethereum. He was triumphantly posted about how he's going to knife catch, and he literally bought $1, I think, above the low of yesterday on Bybit. I'd imagine he bought at 1700 even. It went down to 16 at 97. Holy fuck, you goddamn bastard, you. Oh my god, what a trade, man. What a trade. Massive shout out to Ro. That's phenomenal. And goddamn, man, what a fucking trade right there. Buying the blood, catching the knife, and now you're up, what, 300, 400 bucks, but you're probably out by now too, I'd imagine. We can be heroes. You bastard. You bastard. How dare you? How fucking dare you? All right, let's see. Why do leverage when you could just smoke crack? That is a good question, because if you use leverage, you can also benefit off of downtrends, whereas if you use crack, you just get slapped by your husband, Ike Turner. It's how it works out. I don't even know. No, man. I get what you're saying there. Look, if you're not obviously. Here is the problem with leverage and crack. Here's the problem with leverage and crack. They're both fucking addictive, man. And in that regard, I do agree with you. Absolutely. There's a lot of people out there who have no business trading on leverage, who only trade on leverage because they do something which my good friend Mr. Jackie in the Discord has identified as trading addiction. They have trading addictions rather than looking for a legitimate setup and then trading into that. When you have an actual strategy, when you have an actual setup, you just play the fucking setup on leverage or not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, assuming that leverage doesn't come into the setup anyways, but shouldn't really change it all that much, depending upon scale, obviously. But the problem is that a lot of people just use leverage as like a way to kind of go to Vegas, but in the confines and comforts of their own home, which is probably not the most healthy thing to be doing. So yeah, man, I kind of do agree with you. Also kind of push back as well, I suppose. You, sir, are moon chills, says Robin Morris. You done this to me, sir. You done this to me indeed. Shibley says, I eat raw eggs. Immediately carp in my pants. Mux daily, please. Sure. I'm glad to hopefully staying clean today. You're looking at a daily on this chart right here, and it looks like this one drank a little bit too much as well. He ate a little bit of raw eggs over a long period of time. Now you do have a bit of reversal going on right here. Short term, a little bit of sideways. Let's see what the weekly looks like. I'm just curious. Yeah, I would be looking for a little bit of sideways and down from here, but I am not necessarily long-term macro bearishness. I do think that you have a few signatures of a macro reversal in place, but next move very likely is to the downside, somewhere around about 130-ish region. Let's see if that lines up with anything on the daily. It does, actually, it does. So we do have a bit of structure coming in from there as well. But ultimately, I do like the uptrend, and I respect the uptrend as long as that is present, and it is, as long as we're essentially above actually 121. So anywhere down around 130 is game, and I would be looking for that one to try to print for a higher low if that happens. General continuation here. I'm curious what the monthly looks like on this one as well. Let's see. Yeah, monthly probably has a chance here. Monthly Jewel did give a buy signal, or a soft buy signal, looks like on March, and that actually was correct on a higher low. Nice. So fair enough. Yeah. And then more long-term targets would be like 190-ish region, but that's on a monthly, man. Monthly TSI turning up, I like that. Monthly RSI, multiple drives of bullish divergence, I like that as well. On very low volatility, on a macro reversal or potential macro reversal here, yeah, it could be I think short term a little bit of downside, long term looks good. At least for that, at least on the monthly there. All right, Darren Garish says, please. Oh wait, no, we already got that one. Yeah, the moon face. I can't believe I'm fucking talking about that. Oh dear Lord, man. Spencer Smith says, such a cute dog. Yeah, man, they really grow on you. Although they do shit and piss everywhere in this goddamn place. So. Bastards, little cute little devils is what they are. Here comes one flying in. We have Flying Dog. This one's name is Lucky, and he is rather fluffy, and he looks very confused. Let's see, what exactly were you asking? Been holding algo since July 2020, memed a couple $100 at it, long-term staking forever. Thoughts? Okay, so symbol ALGO. I guess we want to look at this versus, whoops, that's not how you spell that, versus US dollar, and let's see what we got over here. Okay, not a big fan of it on the weekly, but Yeah, again, definitely got hit on the head more than most things in this market. I do think it'll trade up with the majority of this market as well in this bouncy here, maybe as much as like 89 cents, maybe even all the way up to like 92 cents. But it's hard one to love as long as it's below the 200 simple in this case, which is about 5 cents higher than that short-term pivot at about 95 cents. So as long as you're operating below there, not a humongous fan of it. Do we have any sort of bullish divergence potential here too? No, we do not. So it's really up to Bitcoin to kind of put the market in its backpack. But this is what I mean, that on a Bitcoin upside or downside move, altcoins are just losing out versus Bitcoin in general. So if we were to say get a rejection at like $36,000, give or take $500 from that target, and Bitcoin comes back down, let's call it below $35,000, I'd be looking at a lot of alts, this one included, to make new low, start to crawl back down to lows and probably make new lows. But in this case right here, short term, I would be looking for a bit of upside. And I don't know if that was your specific question. All right, so you're looking at it. Yeah, you're just looking at it, or you just want to look at it. Yeah, that's essentially what I'd be saying about this one. Weekly. Yeah, not the picture of health and fitness on a weekly. I'm not a humongous fan of this, but again, it depends whatever direction Bitcoin goes. At least short term, I'd be looking for a little bit of upside, probably around like 89, maybe 90 cents, and then come back to it after that. If Bitcoin starts to take out 36.5 to the upside, then we can start to extend targets a lot, and let's see if it can maintain above the 200 in that case. If that happens, good, generally good. But we've got a long way to go right now, and that's a lot of hoping and praying for the time being. Brendan McBride, what's up, man? I love your brother Danny. He's absolutely fucking hilarious, especially in the Eastbound and Down. The next full moon is on the 24th. Oh my dear Lord. It's gonna be fucking good. I'm gonna quit everything if this full fucking moon. I'm quitting everything. No more fucking volatility. No more technical analysis. No more fundamental analysis. No more underlying market dynamics. It's only gonna be moon cycles. If this one actually does call it, again, it is kind of coming in line with the quarterly close, which actually does make sense. So I'm saying this facetiously, but fair enough. I guess it's tonight. Baby. And check out dollar Canadian dollar. Sure, man. Daily, weekly. USD CAD. Let's see what we got over here on OANDA. Looks like a lower high, and we are very likely coming back down short term to 122.5. Weekly. Yeah, weekly, same target, 122.5 or so. Okay, yes, you did ask about a daily and weekly. Now, long term, is this one actually going to try for another upside move after that short term downside move? I would not feel comfortable saying that in this current stature. I don't have an opinion on the monthly. I mean, obviously, trend is down here. Did make new lows on that last monthly closure, or sorry, the last few monthly closures. Short term, yeah, a little bit of downside. I'd be looking for a bounce there, come back to it after that. I don't really have an opinion on it long term. I'm not a humongous fan of this chart. If anything, I'd probably still err on the caution of no, I don't have any opinion on this one, super long term, but short term, a little bit of downside continuation, probably bounces there and then come back to it. Not this week. We're not going to see much from it, but maybe beginning of next month is where I'd want to see it again. What's up, Josh? There he is. I'm feeling FOMO in FUD at once. I am going to explode right in big trouble in Little China. Yeah, man, I totally hear you. And these sorts of feelings never really truly go away. You just kind of learn how to manage them and identify them. But basically, because I know your situation a little bit more than the average viewer here, I can speak a little bit more directly towards you because I happen to know that you're more long-term oriented. You're looking for that more long-term area. In that case, you have to be looking at the $30,000 area. And tell me if my assumptions are wrong here, but I'm essentially assuming that you're a long-term investor. If you are a long-term investor, it actually does make sense to nibble a little bit at the $30,000 level, regardless of whether you're bullish or bearish, just because it is a macro level, and that's technically what you're supposed to do. Obviously, not blow your whole load on that, and you do want to still remain somewhat liquid, assuming in the case that we do get a rejection at $36,000 and then continue to make our way back down into the 20s. So that is maybe relevant to you, maybe not relevant to you. But as far as feeling FOMO and FUD, it's always going to be like that, man. The market always finds a narrative to justify the moves from a news standpoint. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, price action is fucking price action in this case. And while it's not everything in it, and I would certainly not dare say that, news doesn't matter. It's just which news matters, when we get China banning Bitcoin or actually moving it out, that actually does sound a little bit serious, especially in context of the last few announcements that they've had, which some of the announcements have been a little bit more, cryptic language, which kind of left it up open for interpretation. This one seems to be a little bit more direct, but like an Elon Musk tweet, for example, a lot of the time those moves get reverted over the next week or two. I remember this one over here. Do you remember this one over here? Elon Musk tweeted something about Bitcoin. Maybe this was like Tesla accepting Bitcoin for purchases. Well, we got that initial major move to the upside, yes, but it gets faded all in the same day, and we come back down pretty much to where we started that day. And yes, the general trend was still the upside, so it's still fine. So it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, I would say, I'd say generally speaking, in this case, like that's not as important. But when you have like a country adopting Bitcoin, that's kind of a big deal. When you have China pushing miners out, that's kind of a big deal. It's going to definitely affect the hash rates and everything, and perhaps create a whole new dynamic. I mean, if the U.S. kind of picks up like as the leader or a little bit more open to Bitcoin miners in comparison to China, seeing as they're going to be forced out, I think that's a long-term good thing. Say what you will about the U.S. I definitely know that, and I'm definitely aware that there's a lot of bad things that you can say about the U.S. No doubt about that. But if I'm going to be picking my world leader, I'd probably pick the U.S. over China, in my opinion, because at least in the U.S. you can say that Taiwan's a fucking country, and in China you will get hung for that. No, you'll get hanged for that. I don't know if you'll get hanged for that, but you might just disappear for a little bit of time, or if you tell the truth about fucking coronavirus too. But we'll not talk about that one either. So we'll just get off that topic altogether. How about that? That's going to be cut up in terrible ways. I'm not even saying anything. I'm just saying what China did with that was fucked up. Take that as you will, sir. Take that as you will. Because they did actively suppress like information coming out about that at the beginning. That's what I'm referring to, by the way. And that is, from what I understand, a pretty agreed upon fact. Anyways, White Lotus of Life. What's up, man? Hey, brother. Hope you and Elsa are well. I'm doing all right, man. Got a good night's sleep last night. Do moons mark tops and new moons bottoms, or do full moons mark reversals? Can you do AMP daily? Look, I don't know which one's a full moon. I don't know which one's a not full moon, but you can see right here. This is bear moon. This is bull moon. just backtest it yourself. I don't know the actual names for it. And look, again, I want to be very, very clear. This is not something that I'd like put my full fucking faith in, but it is interesting, I suppose. It should also be denoted that you'll notice these sort of not horizontal, but vertical lines right here. This is a time fib taken from our macro breakout in October of 2020 to this first major precipice in early Feb. And you can see that all of these pivots do line up with, all these fibs do line up with pivots on price action. All of them thus far have been to the downside, obviously 1, 2, 3, 4. This one kind of a little bit off right there, but 5. But we do have one coming up in the next couple days here, actually on the 25th and 26th. So it is once again in visual view there. Again, end of quarter, all these things kind of lined up with each other. But I do think that these are rather interesting and rather compelling just to be paying attention to, not necessarily saying that, it's 100% guaranteed to work out. At the end of the day, price action first, market structure first, and then can talk about that sort of stuff. Anyways, you're looking at AMP. Sure, we can look at that. AMP USD. And let's see what we got going on over here. I think Gemini is the one to go to. And I think we said down a little bit yesterday. I think we got our downside move. But long term, I don't hate this chart. I mean, it is an uptrend. It is one of the better charts in cryptocurrency land. To be fair, I'd like to see more long-term history, though, if we could. Maybe Poloniex has. And yes, Poloniex does have. But what the fuck happened right there? What I do like about this one is that it is actually popping back above its prior meltdown region, which is right around here from our August 20 drop, actually. It looks like we even closed above it last week, so I do quite favor that. I do think that we have a weekly reversal in progress right here. Short term, it looks like we did get our downside move on the daily. I'd probably be looking for it to trade a little bit of sideways in this region, maybe even test the downside once again, depending upon whatever Bitcoin does. But a daily closure back above, let's call it 8.5 cent or 8.6 cent, more accurately said. And I'd be looking for continuation to the next major area in general, which is going to be all the way up to 15, 16 cent region. Will look pretty damn good right there, actually. So fair enough. And momentum oscillators are not going to be too much of a bias here. In fact, if anything, they'd be saying, test some downside first, see what the very low term time frame say. 4 hour says we got a nice local low in place, probably do trade back up short term to 7.3. So sideways, short term, long term, I just want to see that area taken out, and I'd look for general continuation. And the weekly does give a bullish bias on that one as well. Can you do a 15 cent target? Yeah, I think we kind of spoke about that. Yes, that would be the next one on continuation. Scott Carney says BitF daily. Okay, so this is your bit farms now. They are no longer a piece of shit OTC stock, but like a real stock on Nasdaq. Now, to be fair, I mean, there's just like a couple days of history here, but this was pretty damn cool to see, man. Because I know that you've been asking about this one for a while. And then I saw it like just randomly 2 days ago. It's like, this is on NASDAQ now. It's like, this is great. This is amazing. Maybe Scott Carney doesn't. Maybe Scott Carney is an insider. He knows something. He knows something that I do not know. Anyways, I don't have any analysis to give you on this, man. I don't trade like recent IPOs. I don't think that technical analysis works in general, and it definitely does not work when you have this low of information. So I'd have to say, man, I can't give you a good opinion on this. If you put me down in like a 5 minute, maybe. Short term, yeah, it looks like it wants to pop back up to 430-ish region. But look, man, I don't trust something that just literally has like 2 to 3 days of history. Put a gun in my head, though, I'd be saying generally up. I know that there are people out there who do trade IPOs, and they have kind of strategies with this. A general one would be, popping back above this sort of reversal area right here on your IPO initial dump is typically a pretty damn good sign. And, you generally be bullish off that. But, I wouldn't feel comfortable playing this one, with just that history available right there. But, again, extremely short-term timeframes, yeah, they do suggest a little more up there. Let's see, Rocky D, what's up, man? There's bear traps, bull traps, then there's Krown Z's traps. Nice traps, bro. Bullish. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. All good, man. BK says, hey, Krown, can you look at AMP USD on Gemini? Yep, we already looked at it. I do not have anything new to say about that. I think that comment was just after the prior one. So hopefully we already got through that one, and that's satisfies that condition. But please let me know if like you want, I don't know, something more specific on it. Nero Strutton says, Krown, bruh, rent is due soon. Can we check out Clove daily-ish? Okay, do I need to buy a tent? You can always just crash in my tent, sir, if you really need it. This one's looking pretty damn good short term. I'd be looking for it to pop back up short term to $14. But what time frame are you on here? You need daily-ish, and you need rent by Friday, I think. Very short term, I do like it. Actually, I'm not getting much from the daily here. It's a little bit more sloppy. Short term, I'd be looking for it to pop back up to $13.90 to $14. Anywhere above 20 second, basically yesterday's high, and I'd extend targets all the way up to $16, maybe even as much as 17 and a quarter over time. But this one looks good for a daily reversal here. I would generally be bullish on this one as long as it's above about 11 and a quarter. But short term, yeah, some upside there. So I don't know how much money you need for rent, but if it's I don't know if it's to the tune of like about $1.25 in price action, I think you're probably in a good position right there before Friday, and then probably do get another continuation. But I don't know about before Friday, man. Probably next month, if anything. Okay, cool. Mario, what's up, man? Krown, I'm just wondering, do you think if the dollar pushes lower, then this bull market in the general stock market will continue for many months? Hold on. Okay. Do you think if the dollar pushes lower, okay, so you're talking about Dixie, then this bull market in general, in the general stock market, okay, that's where I was getting confused. In the general stock market will continue for many months? Yes, most likely yes. It definitely does help it out from a fundamental perspective. Now we have seen traditional markets rally with Dixie rallying as well. It's not a death sentence, but it definitely does help it out. Remember, Dixie is not like... Dixie is just measuring itself against a basket of fiat currencies. So it's not necessarily like literally the dollar. It's relative to other fiat currencies. So if they start to devalue, like if other fiat currencies start to devalue themselves as well, and they do it more so than Dixie, well, you're going to see Dixie rise, but it doesn't necessarily mean that Dixie is like also not being devalued as well. So when you're looking at asset prices, that's going to go up if they start printing, typically speaking. So, I can give you a quick example for that. If we go over here to like SPY, for example, look, all the way from, I need to find a good obtuse example for this. Let me just go back to Dixie really quick. Okay, so Dixie, yeah, 2018, March 2018 to March 2020. Okay, so March 2018 to March 2020 was just straight up, or well, I wouldn't say straight up, but it was just a melt up. What about SPY? March 2018 was where? March 28. Where is March 2018, motherfucker? There it is. To like a year out. I mean, that was just straight up as well. So, yeah, there you go. It's not necessarily like a full-on indicator, but it generally will kind of play that way, especially when Dixie's trading to the downside, not necessarily to the upside, because they could just be printing less in comparison to other countries, for example. All right, Josh is back. What's up, Josh? I'm still in cash. Maybe I get back on the break and then retest of $36,000. So, Josh, if you are looking to do something like that, here's what it's probably going to look like. you're probably going to see a move to about 36,000 or 36,500. I would initially look for a pullback after that. If you're going off of the Wyckoff schematic over here, you'd probably be looking for a pullback somewhere down around 35,000 bucks, maybe as low as 34.5. Just, you know, based off the chart right here, it'd be around this breakdown from the 21st of this week, and that's about 35,000 bucks. So you'd probably be looking for a little bit of a pullback there. You'd be looking for a higher low, and then you move to the top side of the range. But remember, when we have seen this from moving average perspective before in the past, this next move to the upside, while it is actually, you know, pretty nice, in this case could maybe even go to the deeper 40,000s, still in line with the CME gap from going all the way back to what was this? May 14th. You know, those typically do turn into, well, bull traps in that case. So you get a bear trap on one side, a bull trap on the other side. Again, what I'm referencing here is something that we saw back in 2019, specifically right here, when Bitcoin was hinting at a death cross, drops below the 377 very, 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 very quickly, comes back up on volume and plays out some sort of China-related news pump over there as well. You know, we could have a potential situation like that over here too. We've also spoken about this on the 5 hour, or sorry, not on the 5 hour, but the 5 day. Let me just kind of, we don't need that one. Okay, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And what we've seen right here is a very specific interplay between the 10 simple, the yellow 21, and the cyan 89. You know, the last time that we saw a situation like this where Bitcoin was based off the 89 and we saw the other two crossing in a more bearish perspective, we saw a pump up into the cross, and then that actually did eventually reject and Bitcoin moves down. Same thing over here too, based off the 89, pops into the cross and then down. In this case, you know, I mean, could you say that we already had the test in the cross? That would be this area right here, to be fair. So perhaps that is already thrown by the wayside. And then, of course, we do have the bi-weekly MACD signature over here too, which we've been harping on for quite a fair bit, where we do see bi-weekly MACD crossing to the downside several times in the past, 1, 2, 3, and they've all pretty much produced the same thing, where Bitcoin, you know, initially bounces off the white 20 simple above the 9, and then bases down to the 55 after that. Same thing over here, bounce off the 20 simple into the 9, bases on the 55 after that. Same thing over here, bounce off the 20 simple into the 9, bases on the 55 later. And we have something relatively similar over here, perhaps. But we never really got above the 9 in that case, to be fair. So, you know, still, you know, a lot of things to be aware of. I don't think Bitcoin's out of the woods just yet, but short term, yeah, I do favor a little bit of short term continuation to the upside. I don't think that's too crazy to say right now. All right, sweet. Rose Production says Barn Bridge Bond USDC. Do we have to look at it versus USDC? Let's see. Well, all right, well, let's look at it versus USDC. Why not? On Uniderp, actually looking good here. Very good reversal. Very fucking good reversal on volume. I'd be looking for this one to trade up towards 53.80-ish region. Above 53.80, I'd start to extend this significantly back up, probably towards about 64. But short term, yeah, looking good here. As long as this one's above the 200 simple, I'm not bearish on it. I'm looking for short term continuation with those targets in mind. There's going to be, you know, some pullbacks along the way, obviously, but this is looking pretty damn good, and this is what you want to see. Volume increasing after a bit of a trappy situation on new lows. That's actually quite good. I actually do like that right there, quite a fair bit. It's a good, strong signal. Marco says Hog is up 25% today and rather bullish. Any thoughts? I don't know. I'm not familiar with this one. Is this? Oh no. I was gonna think that. I was gonna say that it's Harley Davidson, but no, it's not. It's a Hog reincarnated. Is this like a dog thing? Am I looking at the right thing here? I think so. Oh fuck my Angus, sir. I don't. What the fuck is this? It's a line. It's a fucking line. Are we looking at the right thing? Probably not. Maybe we can look at it versus the dollar. We can't. It doesn't trade versus the US dollar. Motherfucker. Uniswap, derp swap, fucking sushi derp. Oh, bastard. Maybe this thing's gonna have a chart. That's not up 25%. I don't think we're looking at the same thing, unfortunately. I can look at it versus not US dollar, but Ethereum. It looks like there's a whole bunch of different things. What the actual fuck? Okay, there's no, unfortunately, man, I don't think we can look at the same thing right now, because this chart is just literally a line, and it's completely unhelpful even if I take this off auto. I mean, I might have to go so deep into this. Jesus Christ. Is it even possible? Nope, we're literally at 0 already, so I'm gonna have to say a humble what the fuck, sir. We're probably not looking at the same thing if I had to guess. That would be my best guess. All right, cool. Mr. Gwyn, what's up, Mr. Sebastian? Good morning for you. Good morning to you. MRNS daily, weekly, BCRX. Okay, let's look at the Mr. Gwyn ones we got. What was it? MRNS here. Okay, Marinus Pharmaceuticals on NAS. What do we have? And you're looking at daily, weekly, or weekly, monthly? Yeah, daily, weekly here. Daily's looking good. Sarah's stepping its way up. I like it, and it's breaking back above the prior mega breakdown from July 2019. That is always a good sign. Weekly is already confirming the trend reversal as of a few months ago. It looks like I really like this actually, man. I'd be looking for it to generally just float its way up to about 21 and a quarter, 21 and 30 cents. And then on the macro scale, do we have a what would be a higher low on somewhat of a double bottom there on like a monthly? Yeah, and I believe we looked at this one before for you too, and I was probably bullish on it, so I'd still remain bullish on it. You know, it's going to ebb and flow a little bit in there, but I do like it long term, man. There's nothing bearish about this as long as it's above 16 bucks. Nothing bearish at all. It's just, you know, sideways and floating up. Momentum oscillators help support this view. Weekly TSI turning up, weekly RSI just reset into the neutral zone, back in the bullish control zone. This is good. Yeah, I'd be generally bullish on this one. I do like it. All right, and we also got BCRX. What is this thing doing? What is this thing doing? Yeah, I remember you always ask about this one. I like it. Look, we came back down. We retested the level that we spoke about earlier this week, I believe, and so far so good, man. Yeah, looking good right there. I mean, that's almost picture perfect retest. I'd be looking short term for it to pop back up to 1760, but I think you are much more long term on this one. I'd look for general continuation on the weekly. Next mega target is going to be where is this? At about 17 and a half, basically the high of our current rally. I don't think it necessarily stops there long term. Just short term probably plays out some sideways and down. And then long term, I'd still be looking somewhere around like 21 to 22 bucks. You know, this is very long term good, man. Again, volume signature over here does say that we have a macro reversal in progress, and this one could be the one that actually breaks. I like it, man. I still like it. I liked it before, and I still like it. Hey, what's up, Matthew Rustoven? New viewer, but love the content. Well, good to meet you, sir, and welcome to the cave. Pull down your fucking pants. Thoughts on stock to flow? Okay, sorry. Based on the high level of variance below the model and where we are in the halving, could that confirm a stage 3 breakout of Wyckoff? Okay, so stock to flow is something that I think is rather interesting, but I'm not the person to comment on it myself. Now, I want to bring up exactly what you're speaking about here. And, you know, there's a lot of pushback on stock to flow as a model. I definitely understand that. And you know, while I'm not like going to be the first person to critique it, I do think that it does have a little bit of cause for concern, because it's always like fitting the data rather than, you know, having an actual, well, I don't know if I can say that either. I think I'll hold off on saying anything like that. What I can say about it without any reservation is that I think it's very interesting. Obviously, the past does have some good results here in general, but I do always hold reservations for models like this, because as you said, the variance that's included in this model makes it very difficult to be using if you are going to be a trader, for example, especially on anything that's less than like a monthly, right? Now, if you're a very long-term investor and you're thinking like 5 to 10 years down the road, yeah, you know, this is rather interesting, and it does somewhat make sense. There is an issue with the model, though. There is one big issue with the model. It does not account for demand. It only accounts for supply. So it's making a big assumption. And that's kind of it's not necessarily to say that it's going to be completely wrong, but that would be a major critique of the model that I understand, is that there's it just assumes demand rather than has it a part of the model, like as a variable. So I do think that is a good counterpoint to it. And I can say that it's interesting, yes, and it does line up with a lot of things that we see on price action, which is also good. And, you know, if you want the biggest hoping that I can give you, well, at least from this perspective, it's saying that we're basically entering into the last portion of this parabolic rally here. As you do see, when it starts to turn green, which we just started turning green 2 weeks ago, that is when the party really gets going. Like you saw over here, this was in August 2017, before Bitcoin went from, and by the way, it corrected once it hit green too. It went all the way from 3,500 to 20,000 bucks. We're talking about, you know, just a 420% move right there. Not bad. Great number as well. Same thing over here. You know, it hits the green. This one already kind of had corrected after a mega rally right here. And then what happens after that? Well, from green to next major high, about 600%, 570%, something like that. And right now we are just hitting that green right here as well. I don't know. Let's just play around with numbers. What if we added 200% to the price action? That puts you at almost $100,000. Interesting. It's interesting. It's not for me to comment on though. That's not what I focus on. I don't really focus on fundamentals. I'm not saying that fundamentals are completely bullshit. It's just as a trader, I don't really care what the fundamentals are if I'm trading like an hourly, for example. Yeah, there's going to be some events that happen here and there, like you've seen in the past, that are going to matter. And those are just the times where you kind of have to not trade if technical analysis is going to be your main edge. Or at least employ something a little bit different. Anyways, could that confirm a stage 3 breakout of Wyckoff? So that's a completely different question, and that's one that I feel more comfortable with talking about. So what you're talking about right here is I think by stage 3 you mean phase C. Is probably what you mean. And no, it would actually not confirm that. Phase D is what confirms the actual breakout. So you're not really out of the woods from a Wyckoff perspective if you are assuming that this is Wyckoff, which I do think it is definitely possible here until we get back above the range highs, which is this closing high right here at about 40,000. 40,500, basically around the 200 exponential average on the daily. Now, I would feel a lot more comfortable just looking at that, but seeing as they kind of, play a little bit together, I suppose you could say that. I just don't think it's as accurate for me to say that, or it's not something that I should be saying. I should kind of present them as different things, because again, what I was showing you before was that there are still other, several other things that say, hey, if Bitcoin were to take out this level to the upside, and we're making so many fucking assumptions right now, like this is so fucking far away. It's possible, yes, and we should prepare for it, yes, but I want to be very, very clear. We're making assumptions right now. I'd still be cautious in the deeper $40,000 territory. Okay, cool. Nero Strutton says, bruh, can we check BAT on the 4-hour, please? You love the Brave browser. I fucking hate the Brave browser. The reason why I hate it isn't because I've like ever used it, actually. It's because people who use it have difficulty with our app, and it's just like, use a goddamn real browser for the love of God. But as far as this chart goes, it is in complete meltdown mode. And again, another example of an altcoin that is going to be getting absolutely smacked in the face with the red dildo of death on any sort of a downside move for Bitcoin. Now, long term, do we have a good chart? Yeah, I mean, in comparison to a lot of the other alts, this was one of the ones that actually did make new highs above its 2017 highs. That's great. That's a good sign. But again, it's going to depend on whatever Bitcoin does. So again, if Bitcoin puts in a lower high at, let's say 36,500-ish region, I'd be looking for this one to make new lows and probably trade its way back down to like 35 cents. If Bitcoin can maintain its composure and works its way up, I'd look for it to generally work its way back up towards, 68, 69 cents region, and then use the 200 simple and 200 exponential average right here as kind of like a more macro breakout area for beginning price actions higher. But again, it's just easier to watch Bitcoin. Bitcoin's chart's a lot cleaner right here and a lot more obvious. This one does not lead the market, it follows, and it is weaker than Bitcoin in general. So whatever move Bitcoin makes, this one will mirror it and probably amplify it to the downside and not do as well to the upside. But for right now, yeah, probably trades back up towards 58 cents or so, but that's just the 377 right there, which is not the biggest sign of strength. Anyways, you're not even asked about that. You're asking about a 4-hour. So let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, 4-hour probably has a little bit more continuation here. 56, 57 cents is certainly not out of the question. Maybe even all the way to 59 cents short term. Again, depends on Bitcoin continuation, but we got a decent Joule signal here. We got 4-hour TSI turning up and 4-hour RSI is actually not giving us any divergences, which you would expect on this, but is a clear rejection of the bearish controls, and it even has an inverted head and shoulders here, it looks like as well, although that one's already played out. So yeah, it probably has a little more continuation there, and fair enough. Yeah, not bad. Bullish as long as it's above about 49 cents, I would say. Below there, you got problems, but that's going to be Bitcoin coming below 32.5 anyway, so easier to watch Bitcoin just in general. Gaz F says, could you take a look at MGT ASX, please? Sure, but you did not. No time frame given. Oh man. All right. Well, I'm just going to be about out on my own over here, looking at the daily and weekly. Daily looks like a very obvious ascending triangle at a very high level. I like that. You have a very clear and obviously defined range, very well defined range, I'd say. We could even lower the resolution point to the upside a little bit down. Not say you do have a confirmed breakout above this level right here, especially on a daily close, you're above 75 cents. Wick higher than 16th of July could probably do it if you're more aggressive as well. And you do have a natural risk management on the downside. Just use the last higher low in this case. Of course, this is not finished fights, but 65 cents right here would be the area to be watching. Long term, what is this thing looking like? Looks like it's actually having a macro reversal. If I could pull up the weekly, this would be a lot more helpful. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. Yes. And this is the kind of chart that I really like too. If it does want to break down, 56 cents or 55 cents where I'd be looking towards, but I don't think that's what we're looking at right here. I think we're looking at a reaccumulation after a macro reversal, and this one probably does trade higher long term. even up to like 10 cents or so, but that's like very long term if we're looking at a monthly here. Monthly's kind of slowing down. It could definitely use a pullback, I suppose, but with the way that it's looking right here, I respect the higher lows until proven otherwise. So that would be my condition for that. Long term though, I do kind of like it. Could take a long time though. Okay. White Lotus of Life says, can you tell him he can use lower time frames on AMP if that helps? Thank you for all you do. I think we already got that one. Okay, cool. Cole Evan, or do we want to look at lower term time frames on AMP? We can just do that really quickly here. All right, we'll go down to like a 4 hour. Yeah, I think we did look at this one. Yeah, short term probably does pop back up to like 7, maybe even 7.5 cents. Again, watch Bitcoin for direction, easier, but those would be like the relevant levels for myself. Cole Evans says, hey, Krown, what's up, man? Upsides for Cardano USD if it follows trap on Binance. Didn't catch the trap, and it's up 25% already. Any time frame you think is worth checking? All right, that makes things a lot more easy. Nice. Let's go to... And actually included a lot of information there too, which is great. There we go. Cardano, 128. So did we hit our $1 target? Holy fuck. Every once in a while, that TA bullshit works, doesn't it? Not bad. Okay, so basically, if Bitcoin continues here to like 36.5, I'd be looking for Cardano to trade back up towards 138, 139 region. Basically, the breakdown a couple days prior, somewhere around the 10 simple is certainly not out of the question. Cardano, for what it's worth, is holding the long-term macro range lows very well, very fucking well. It's acting incredibly well here. Looking at the weekly, I'm still not a big fan of that on the weekly, to be honest with you. 4 hour, yeah, probably pops back up short term to like 133, 134. But I think it sounds like you're more interested in the long term. Let's see, where would your risk management be in this case? Well, just like Bitcoin below 32.5 is bad, I'd say Cardano below about let's call it like 117 would be pretty damn bad. I mean, shit, man, even just below the 4 hour 10 simple would probably be bad enough for me, and that's 120. But for right now, things look decently okay. Some multiple drives of Phantom Bived here on the 4 hour RSI. 4 hour Jewel is given, it's not the most obvious buy signal right there, but some people will play those. And 4 hour TSI turning up as well on a bit of a trend reversal. Yeah, not bad. Well, it's not necessarily reversal either, but has some promise there. What about the 12 hour? Yeah, 12 hours decent. Yeah, probably trades back up to like 137, 138 region. And then I'll watch Bitcoin for direction there. If Bitcoin starts to take out 36.5, however, which I don't think is going to happen today, if it happens, it probably happens like tomorrow or Friday, I'd be looking for this one to pop back up all the way to like 157, maybe even 160, and really recover and regain the full-on range, which would actually start to look pretty damn good. But again, having this reaction off the 200 simple right here, pretty good actually. Very confidence-inducing, and Cardano has proven itself as one of the better actors, I'd say, just in general. Okay, cool. Mr. Aurora says, damn you, Krown, making me stay up late every day to watch this wonderful stream. Sorry, sir. I will process your refunds immediately after the stream. No problem. Missing out on my beauty sleep. Sorry. Kusama bin fucking lauding. USD FTX 1 hour. Oh, man, that's like really low term time frames for this one. Let's see. We got KSM right here. Kusama. Fucking Kusama's at it again. Keep bombing my goddamn charts. Flew his goddamn airplane into my fucking Kusama coins. Motherfucker. Now I'm poor. This one looks like absolute shit too. I wouldn't say it looks like absolute shit. No, that is not the proper that is not the proper response. I'm just getting a bit carried away. Okay, Kusama, it does not look the most obvious. Look, this one's definitely weaker compared to most of this market. Did not close in the same way that we saw a lot of this market close. I would say that you have obvious natural resistance right around our prior breakdown, which is 270-ish region. On a short-term time frame, do I think it tries more to the upside short-term? Yeah, 242. And you are only asking about short-term, so sorry, I shouldn't be looking at a daily there. Yeah, short-term, I'd be looking for it to pop up to like 240 or so, maybe even as much as 250, but short term, just like Bitcoin, a little bit of upside implied. Again, you have a natural sort of failure point here too, right around around this last 4 hour low. I'd say like 190 is where things start to look pretty damn bad. Once again, looking for new lows, but this one definitely relatively weak within this market right now. Did not close on the same sort of hammer dildo that we saw many of the other ones on, and closed well outside the greater range as well, which, the strong ones reclaimed their daily range, whereas the weak ones have not. And this one would be an example of a weak one. Another example of a weak one would be Dogecoin, for example, right? Your prior daily range was all the way above 30 cents. This one's closing so fucking far below. And this, honestly, I do think it's a good sign for the market in general. We want to see stuff like this, it's not that I want to see like people lose fucking money, no, but it's a good sign of a healthy market. Let me get rid of this right here too. it's a good sign of a healthy market to, get rid of and wash out a lot of these worthless fucking coins. So again, I'm not trying to be like harsh towards people who have lost a shit ton of money in this. We can always read some Elon Musk tweets for that. But looking at this right here, this is a good example of what, the market kind of cleaning itself out should look like. You can see that doggy coin certainly did not reclaim the daily range, not even fucking close. It's nowhere near in comparison to, Bitcoin, for example, which popped back up and is now actually reclaiming the daily range and had a very, very good closure yesterday on that nice hammer. So again, and also compare that to like Cardano as well. Cardano having a pretty damn good response at that low. So, I do respect that quite a fair bit. And something like, I guess what we just looked at, Kusama, would not be of the, of the relatively strong right now. But again, Bitcoin decides, and then that one will follow. If it's to the upside, it's probably not going to be as much though. Steven says your Bitcoin et al. Analysis has become must watch for info for me. Awesome, man. That's that's very humbling, man. Thank you. It's a pleasure to hopefully add some value out there. And thanks, man. I appreciate that. Nate says, do you have a tutorial on fib times? No, I don't. It's because it's not something that I really use myself. It's just like, again, for most of the indicators that I show on the stream here, I don't actually use them in like my actual trading. I just look at them because, YouTube analysis is YouTube analysis. Like, you want to make it relevant to people because most people are looking at a bunch of different things, typically for long term. But realistically, man, do I use this in my trading ever? No, I don't. But basically, the general rules as like a fib retracement would imply with a fib time extension, not necessarily in like the exact same ways, because like obviously with retracement you're taking ranges, but you're looking at big pivots on the market, right? So a macro breakout would be a good place to start, and then line it up with like one of the mega highs within it and see if it lines up with something. If it does, you probably have something to go off of. If it doesn't, and you should probably put the Jesus toast away because this one can be highly variable, and while this one actually has worked out very well, to be fair, I mean there's no denying it's actually worked out incredibly well. Would I be putting my whole fucking weight on that? Nah, I wouldn't. It should line up with other things. And what does it line up with? It lines up with the fucking moons, which is extremely interesting as well. So fair enough. All right. Anyways, seems they both have something to do with the moon tomorrow, the 24th. Your pivot of 36,000 to around the 5-day high. We also have potential bullish divergence there. New dildo at the 25th. Yeah, that is all true. And again, that is coming around the quarterly close, which I did say at the beginning of this week here. Expect some major pivots on the on the market around that time. And I stick with that, man. And that's actually, funnily enough, coming to fruition. A little bit, I'd say yesterday kind of started to happen a little bit earlier, but I was saying Wednesday and Thursday are the days to be watching. And right now we're on Wednesday. So if we really start to reclaim like 36.5, that's going to start to look at least decent for another test of, somewhere around 39 or 40,000 bucks. All right, Super Googly Lee says, I bought $100 of Shiba yesterday during the big dump just for the kicks. Can you please look at Shiba USDT daily to see if I can become a billionaire with that? Okay, off of just $100. Let's see. I know that these ones move absolutely fucking crazy, so it's actually probably not as crazy as it sounds. It looks like I can't actually pull this up. Okay, I can pull it up. Okay, it's just, okay, I see what's going on here. Maybe we go to Uniderp. Okay, so where did you buy? Okay, we don't know where you bought, but it sounds like you bought basically around the low of yesterday. To be fair, man, this is actually, oh my God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. It's actually not the worst chart right here, at least for like the last month, all things considered. This one's actually held the range a lot better than most. that is weird. That is real fucking weird. Here's your range highs, here's your range lows. Look, I don't think that you have too much to be excited about as long as this thing's below what the fuck is this number? It's like 1/100,000th of what, or 1/1,000,000th of a cent. I don't know. Something like this right here. There's not too much to be excited from that. Yes, it is a fucking pumping up, no doubt about that. But do you get another pump before it's all said and done? Maybe. Again, easier to watch Bitcoin, but above there, then yeah, this thing can melt, and it can melt up all the way. I mean, that does start to actually really add up. I mean, let's just say top side of the range, that's 69%, not bad. What if we were to go all the way to the next range, 175%? I don't know if it's going to make you a millionaire overnight, but would be pretty damn nice. Again, it's going to depend on Bitcoin though. Like if Bitcoin breaks down, this one will very likely come all the way back down to whatever the fuck this number is right here. It almost should read as Satoshis, but it's not. 35.4 region, right around our April 20. Yeah, right around our April highs. Yep. Okay, cool. Lol High says, please check cough Coca-Cola FEMSA. Okay. Symbol KOF. This guy right here. I'm not familiar with this exact ticker. Interesting. Okay, do we have a bit of a reversal going on? Oh, is this the one that got wrecked when Ronaldo pushed it away or something? Probably not. It's probably something different. Anyways, what time frames do you give? You do not have time frames on this. Okay, so let's put back on this right here. See what we're operating with. I do believe we have a reversal. You know, can this thing come back down to about 50.25 on the daily? Yeah, it could. But generally speaking, I'd be looking further north, somewhere around about $57 overall before it's all said and done. Short term, sideways, maybe a little bit of downside. Long term, I do like the reversal. Volume signature is telling you everything right here. This is significant, and we very likely do test higher over time. But I don't know what time frame you're going off of because you didn't include one. My ear's fucking itching. But you know, if you're on the macro scale, I actually do think they have a bit of reversal going on right here, and you probably do trade hard into the deeper 50s. So depends where you're at. Bradley Heller says, I am down 10K, 60% down on SOS stock. I'm a long-term investor, but I need advice and direction. Okay, so first off, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. And second off, what I would say is, and this is not going to be too helpful right now, but let this be a lesson, sir. Let this be a lesson in the future that if you do not have a fucking plan, you do not have anything. And whenever you go into a trade, whether you're a long-term investor, a short-term trader, or whatever the fuck you might be, understand that if you do not have your entry alongside risk management, alongside position management, you are gambling. You are not going to do something that is going to be long-term productive. I can assure you that over a long enough period of time, you might get lucky a few times here and there. You will not get lucky long-term. You will get fucking wrecked long-term. And this is an example. I don't know why the fuck you'd ever buy this chart right here. It looks like absolute dog shit. But if you, I don't know where did you buy? 60% down. Okay, so you're down 10K. 60% down. So this is the real chart. I mean, this is garbage, man. Why the fuck are you buying this? No offense, but this is not like cryptocurrency where you look for the shittiest chart and you just hope for like a pump and dump. This thing just gets dumped. This is garbage. It has no business trading. It's just ridiculous. It pisses me off that shit like this is even available, to be honest with you. Anyways, we're on the monthly. Let's go to a daily. I don't know exactly what time frame you're looking at here. I mean, this thing barely even, like, can you even get out of this thing? You know, it doesn't even trade. It doesn't even fucking trade, man. This one does 10 volume in a day. Trades 10 fucking shares on a slow day. 800 shares right there. Congrats. It's $3. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's nothing. I mean, you could move the marks with this thing. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Look, okay, so you're down 60%. So from your entry. Look, man, when you've done something wrong, the best thing to do is to do something right. Can this thing trade up from here? Yeah, it can trade up from here, but you got to be thinking opportunity cost if you're a long-term investor. Would you be making more money in something that is reversing right now and trending to the upside than waiting for this thing, which may or may not, which long-term, this one I would have no confidence on long-term. It's just an absolute piece of shit chart long-term. Again, here's a real chart. You know, you have to consider those sorts of things. So I don't really have anything to give you in this case. You know, maybe we can make an maybe we can make an excuse for it and say, look, okay, you might have a bit of a reversal on here. I don't fucking trust it because this thing just looks sloppy as all hell, but at least you have an obvious risk management point. In this case right here, look, if you take out the last daily low at 290, but you know, with closing a daily below there, this thing is going to come back down. It's going to go back down to the prior lows and maybe even continue to trend for new lows on top of that. There's a few signatures that may suggest it has a macro reversal in place, but I don't trust shit like this, to be honest with you. And so, you know, as long as it kind of remains above here, I suppose you can make an excuse for it. Let's just call it like 280 or so on a daily closure. But the second that it starts to close below there, especially especially like significantly, this thing is just going to come further down and wreck you even more, in my opinion. So, you know, it's going to take some time, man. I do not trust shit like this. At best, I think it maybe pops back up to like range highs of like 770. But again, maybe you have insider information on this. That's not something that I know about. That's not something that I do. So I can't speak towards that. Maybe you happen to know that they're going to have like the next, I don't know, major evolution of whatever the hell people want to see. And this thing just absolutely green deals its way to the heavens. But that's hoping and praying. That's not trading, in my opinion. I think at best, this thing goes back to like $16 in like a crazy market. But again, this is not something that I think I can really help you with, and I want to be very open and honest about that. I want to be very clear about that. The best that I can do for you is that, look, we do have a higher low on the monthly, and we do not have a higher high on the monthly. So potentially it does reverse back above about $6. This thing starts to look okay, I guess, and you can maybe look for a move into like double digits. But understand that, look, if you start to print new lows here, I just don't trust shit like this, man. I just don't. So in the future, if you ever are gonna, invest or trade again, make sure that before you enter a position, before you ever enter into a position, know where your risk is. There should never be an example. There should never be a situation where you are holding to 60% drawdown. And I say this, and I don't say this to be facetious towards you, but in a more sincere sense, there's never a time where it makes sense to be 60% down. There's never a time where it even makes sense to be more than 10% down. The reason why I say that is because if you're holding for that fucking long, and this one probably has been for a long time, you could have taken that money out, taken the loss, and then freed yourself up to do something right. Instead, you held a fucking hot steaming pile of shit. Again, I'm not trying to down talk to you. It's just, this is what it is. I mean, it sounds like you probably bought this area over here. You probably saw a few green dildos and you're like, oh shit, we're going up. Maybe you bought over here or something, and you said you're down about 60%. So yeah, you probably bought like 750 or so. Maybe you get back around your entry, and maybe even it does continue for a little bit more on top of that. But again, opportunity cost, man. You've been in this at least for about almost 4 months now. I mean, you could have been in something that's actually fucking moving in your direction instead of hoping and praying for this thing that doesn't even barely trade to go in your direction. I mean, again, this thing, like the volume is so light, man. You don't even need to be a fucking hedge fund to move this thing. This thing can be moved by a retailer, I think. Very, 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 very light, and trades at a very low dollar amount. Not a big fan of that kind of shit, man. So yeah, in the future, in the future, definitely fill out something like resembling that I put out there, like a trade checklist. You don't need to use something exactly like that, but at least that'll give you a framework, like a guideline to go over, defining your entries, defining what you're looking for, defining your risk management, and then defining your profit taking. All those three things at the very fucking least need to be defined before you ever take a trade. If you don't do that, I can assure you that over a long enough period of time, I've never seen it end well. Never. Not even fucking once. Maybe a few times you get lucky, but over a long period of time, absolutely fucking not. Hoji42, what's up, man? Magister Krown. That's at least that's not. Actually, I know the Magisters. I know the Magisters from Divinity 2. Great game. You've been saying accumulation will be similar length as previous distribution. So was yesterday's dump phase B or ST or spring? Okay, so what you're asking about is was yesterday's dump somewhere around here in phase B, or did we just see the spring? Well, there is a good case to be made that actually it is this right here. The reason why is because we kind of did close on slightly higher highs on the daily, and we did make new lows below our range lows as well. And if we are running with the assumption, which I happen to find very true in my history, that if you're looking at a 3-month-long distribution phase at the top, you should be looking something around about a 3-month-long accumulation on the lows, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, somewhere around there before you really start to look at it as a potential to really reverse the market. So in this case, we've been here for what? We've been here for about a month and a half now, maybe a month and a week or so. We started to get in this range about May 19th. I just want to see. Actually, it's just over a month. Just over a month. So we still have a lot of things to do within this region. So yes, it could be very well that we actually are in phase in phase B right here. If you are going with this assumption to begin with, yeah, definitely possible. I would say the biggest, and that would also be a little bit, if we are quite literally in a phase C, that would be more in line with Bitcoin, probably not actually digging itself out of its hole right here. Or, I mean, at least it would have a little bit of short-term upside, but you'd probably be looking for highs maybe in like the mid to deeper $40,000 territories we spoke about earlier. So if you do see Bitcoin start to pop back above the range highs, in this case, that's going to be 40,500 on a daily. Well, that's going to be your confirmation of that. But the sooner that it happens, the more and more likely it's going to be that that next move into the deeper $40,000 territory is going to be what we spoke about earlier this month, in the sense that it probably turns into be a trap. I want to see this really spend some time on the lows here. The more time spent within this area, the better, in my opinion, for the long term. Okay, Rami says, hey, Krown, I'm more long-term minded now, but I just set up a mini account to not get rusty trading. Fair enough, man. That's That's completely that's very honorable, actually. I remember you challenged yourself converting 0.05 Bitcoin into 1 Bitcoin, trying to challenge myself to do the same. Any tips? Yeah, start fucking small. Obviously, when you're starting with a small amount like that, 0.05 Bitcoin, you're going to be tempted to use an insane amount of leverage. I actually did use an insane amount of leverage when I did it, but I would never suggest that anyone else do that. And the only reason why I did that was for YouTube like clout, basically. And I will forthright say that. I don't think that it's a healthy thing to do, especially if you're learning trading or if you're not fully confident in trading. It is not the right thing to do. You can get the same results over a longer period of time by using a more a less aggressive amount of fucking leverage. You can still use leverage. You can go up to like 3 to 5x, I think, is okay. Anything more over that, it's like, look, you are gambling at that point, and you can get washed out of the market incredibly easily. Even at 5x leverage, I mean, that can be seen as kind of crazy from a traditional market perspective. But what I'd say to you is you can definitely do it. What I would suggest though is do not use a super high leverage. Start small, practice the actual fundamentals of your trading regimen and apply that, because if you can do that with a small amount, you can then transfer it onto a big amount. And that's really what the lesson is that if you can trade a small amount of money, you can then, work your way up, but you don't really want to start the other way around, obviously, because you really don't want to be risking any money before you're actually like fully confident that your strategies are working to begin with. All right, let's see. What else do we got over here? Bro, we can be heroes. Oh, you bastard, you. Let's see. Oh, whoa, shit. No. I just skipped a bunch. No. Actually, I went all the way back to the top. Okay, there we go. All right, we got Rami. Sav Dylan is back. Okay, H&T BTC daily. Thank you, sir. Sure. H&T BTC. All right, so we got a Bitcoin pair. The first Bitcoin pair today, actually. Let's see. Pretty good. Actually, very good. Very, very good. What the hell? This is a really good altcoin right here. Whatever the fuck this thing is, man. Very, very good. Holding up incredibly well. Rallying versus the Bitcoin pairing. This thing looks like it wants to move back up towards 4,000 to 4,100-ish region. Weekly is not, I mean, weekly is long-term good, yes, but I wouldn't necessarily say that we're ready to like trend from here. And you got a very obvious natural low from yesterday's price action. But what do we have thus far? Do we have a bullish engulfing? Actually, we don't just yet, but this is a pretty damn good response thus far. And I'd say this is very, very good. I'm actually curious to see what this looks like versus US dollar. I'd imagine pretty damn good as well. Yeah, very good. Oh, wow. Powerful response. Powerful response. And this is what I'm talking about. This one's reclaimed the daily range, it looks like, or pretty much just about any sort of a closure above 11 and 45. And I'd say that is very much confirmed. And, probably gets a try up to like 14. 14, maybe 14, maybe even more than that. This one would look very fucking good. Kind of a sloppy chart on the weekly, not too much to go off of, but 4 hour, oh my God, powerful on volume too. Very, very powerful. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see this one try back up towards $14 actually. Definitely an example of one of the better acting altcoins throughout this whole segment. No doubt about that. Anyways, you're asking about H&T BTC, and I didn't even give you an opinion on it really. Let's do it. Yeah, short term, probably back up towards 3,800 Satoshis. That is your natural 4-hour resistance right here, also in line with your 4-hour 200 simple. So it's really good confluence right there. Above there, I'd start to extend targets a significant amount all the way up to about 4,000 to 4,100-ish region, and then come back to it after that. Again, this one probably one of the better alts that we've seen today. Monthly is just a backfilling up. Nothing bearish about that, at least in the short term. I like that. Yeah. Very, very good. Very fucking good. All right, we got Bed Wars MC says, do you think we're in a Wyckoff accumulation phase? Okay, so we've spoken about this plenty of times now, and here's what I'd say about it. I think it is still a possibility, yes. It is very much a possibility for Bitcoin. Would I say that we are? No, not off the current information that we have. Wyckoff accumulation, or just any sort of any sort of long form consolidation, which is obviously going to be either distribution or accumulation. But I just kind of look at it in a more neutral sense as a consolidation, is not going to be confirmed until we quite literally break out on one side or the other. Yesterday, we tried for a breakout to the downside. It was a trap, and that is verified by the price action today. How would we confirm this as Wyckoff accumulation? Well, what we'd expect to see from here is we'd expect to see Bitcoin to pop back up to about 36,500, come down a little bit from there, maybe like 35 or so, and then try up all the way to the top side of the range. If Bitcoin then starts to take out the last range high at 40,500, or even 39, honestly, in my books, even 39,500 would probably do it for me. Then I would be looking for a bit of a markup. But depending upon how long this phase takes over here, I would adjust my view of whether that becomes a macro low or not. Again, I do put more weight on a few other things that we've been speaking about, which, you know, I want to see the daily on, well, that's a 2 week, but I want to see the daily hash ribbons print a blue buy signal alongside Bitcoin putting in a higher low at the very least on a daily time frame over here. And then I also want to see, I want to see volatility being in like an expansive phase from like a very, 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 very low area, which we are not right now. So is it a possibility? Absolutely yes. Is it confirmed, or would I put my name behind it right now? No, I would not. But I think the criteria for looking for something like that and confirming something like that is very, 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 you know, very well documented. So it should be pretty damn obvious over the next, maybe, you know, over the next month or two. Again, the longer the better within this range, in my opinion. The longer the better. All right, Johnny Boy 950 says overview on the Dow Jones Industrial and Transportation Index. Okay, so for transportation, what ticker are you looking at for Dow Jones? Obviously, we can look at Dow Jones futures right here. You know, it's definitely the laggard of the big three indices between NASDAQ, SPY, and Dow Jones. But this one, is it going to break down on its own? I mean, it pretty much did break down a few days ago, to be fair. It did close on new lows. The other two big ones did not. NASDAQ put in a higher low. SPY also put in a higher low as well. NASDAQ is leading right now, and SPY following, and Dow Jones is being kind of picked up by the strength in the broad market. So I would be looking for this one to pop back up to about 34.2, 34.3 region, follow the other two. But this one is certainly not the strongest, like I said. And if I'm going to be bearish on one of them, it's going to be this one. But we did get our move down to the 21 that we spoke about at the beginning of this week. And we also getting our bounce off that same level as well. I don't have any other big opinion on it other than that. But as far as what transportation index do you want to be looking at, I'll wait at the bottom of the comments here. Hey, what's up, Nimbo? But you need Bitcoin as equity on most. For what? Oh, he's having a conversation with someone. Let's see. Which transportation index do you want to be looking at? And I'll wait for you a few seconds and see if you got it. But yeah, looking at this right here, man, you know, I do think it has a little bit of short-term upside. This one is not strong on its own. This one's getting picked up by the broad market. And I'd be looking at this one probably pop back up like 34.3 to 34.4. All right, cool. I'll just wait a little bit longer, see if he's still here or not. Hey, thanks for that, Frivolous. I like it too, man. Good morning, Mr. Nimbo. There he is. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'm just okay. Choose one. Well, choose one. Well, I just choose Dow Jones in this case. It's a little bit more obvious. But yeah, man, I'd be looking for it to be popped up. Again, it's kind of like, in this case right here, we do have a rotational market, obviously. And you can look at it in the same way as like Bitcoin and some of the other market leaders. And Bitcoin's going to set the direction just in the same way that like SPY and NASDAQ are setting the direction right now. And then this one's going to follow, but not as strong. It's relatively weak in this current posturing. So short term, yeah, 34.3 to 34.4 based off of the strength in NASDAQ, especially. Monthly, you know, could I get bearish on this one? I mean, not on its own. I wouldn't. It's just not wise to do that. NASDAQ's making new all-time highs right now. Powerful NAS. Powerful. Massive. Absolutely fucking massive. Have we hit our next short-term target? We're getting close, I think. I said anywhere between 14,360 and 14,550. We have a nice little $200 range right there. I'd be looking for it to play between those for a little bit. In fact, let's mark that off. This one's the big one. And then I'd be looking for a little bit of consolidation in between there. Okay, cool. All right, R.I.P. Joe Biden. Is he dead? Is he alive? Is he? I mean, I think he's already kind of dead, honestly. Listening to him talk, like, I mean, it's not funny that like he sounds like that. Like it literally sounds like. I mean, I just can't imagine him having a conversation with Putin. You know, it's like Putin's a fucking. I mean, whether you like Putin or not, I mean, he is a like. You can't deny that, like, he's on top of things. Biden, I don't think can like formulate a sentence most of the time. It's like watching someone trying to do like fucking tricks on their snowboard. It's like, is this person gonna land this trick this time, or are they gonna fall over? It's like every time that he makes a fucked up statement. Elsa and I watched like a what felt like an hour-long video of just Biden like not being able to formally say shit, and honestly, like, look, I make mistakes all the time, so it's like, can I accurately judge someone else for that? No, of course not. But also, I'm not the president of the United States, and I'm also not in charge of like the nuclear button, so you know, I don't have those issues. So you don't have to worry about me speaking English properly, but or at least as much. But god damn, man, it's like it's like half the time I was like, what? I don't even understand what you're saying. I don't even understand what the fuck you're saying right now. All right. Johnny VA says, tell please. Sure, man. All right, let's see. Symbol TEL. US derp. All right, what do we got? KuCoin. I remember this one was one of the better actors too. And is it still a better actor? Yeah, I would say so. This one definitely did not jump off as much as the others. But is it safe from its own devices here? That I am, again, I'd have to kind of go with the same general answer. It's like, it's going to be up to Bitcoin, right? Short-term 4-hour, I would be short-term bullish in it as long as it's above essentially about 22.3 cent right there. Short-term, I'd probably be looking for it to pop back up towards 2.6, maybe even 2.7 cent, something like that. Still one of the, I think still one of the better charts, all things considered, like long-term. I mean, this is pretty impressive there, to be fair. What does the weekly look like? Weekly's just bouncing off the 21. Definitely one of the better ones. But again, if Bitcoin turns around, you're going to see this thing turn around as well. If Bitcoin continues on to like 36.5 or even higher than that, you're probably going to see this thing back around 3 cents or so. So I'd give it the benefit of the doubt based off of its history. Okay, cool. Let's see. I think we got a few more over here too. Or did I already get them? Or oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, there's a lot more actually. God damn. What the fuck? Nimbo says, Krown, could our dip down to 28 be the spring in Wyckoff? Yeah, we already spoke about that. I think it's possible, but if that is the spring, then that would imply that this consolidation is a lot more mature than what I think it would be healthy after a 3-month long distribution phase over here. So definitely possible, yes. I think if you really want this to like be a macro low, you're probably looking at this more or less being like a phase B right here. That would be my general disposition. Again, I really put a lot more weight on the other 3 things that I've been speaking about for the last month and a half as to what I'm looking for in like a macro low on Bitcoin. And right now we just don't have them. So, obviously those things are probably going to naturally coincide anyways. Moral Gandhi says, Sir Krown, what's up, man? Can I get an update on Unity software? Okay. Is this like a programming language? Is that right? I think it is. I think it's for like 3D. Oh, nice one. Okay, there we go. We actually have a very, very obvious inverted head and shoulders right here, and we're breaking out as of a couple days ago, in fact. Looks good, man. I'd be looking for this one to generally move its way up towards 120. Oh, it looks like I've already charted this one out too. I guess that's the last time that you asked about it. Looks like we took out this level right here. That initiates our next target right around about $1.13, $1.14. I think we're making our way right there. Let's see what the hourly says. Yeah, hourly's just stepping up. Looks good. Long term, I think that while you will have a bit of a pullback from that region, you probably do actually take that level out and move up towards about 122 or so. What does the weekly look like? Looks decent. Yep, I do think that you have a nice low in here, and you probably do trade up over the next few weeks here. Looks decent enough. Yeah, it's just stair-stepped its way up. Good. Very nice actually. No time from given though. All right, K. What the fuck? Get that dog off your table. He shits everywhere. KE says, can you please take a look at... I do shit everywhere, but typically I make it to the toilet before that. Can you take a look at Hex on the daily moon phase? Throwing out all my TA knowledge and behind on the moon. All right, let's check it out. Let's see what Hex is doing. We haven't looked at Hex in a little bit of time here. Let's see. Still looking like one of the better charts. It is still one of the better charts. That's so fucking crazy. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. Yeah. Very good pullback right there. Look, I don't want to toot my own horn in this case. I don't want to toot my horn too aggressively here just because it always feels weird. But I will say, in hindsight, I've actually called this one nearly perfectly. So we got to move up to 10 cents right here. I said pull back after that, and then probably one more try around there. We got that right there. Just under 10 cents. And then I said pull back down to the next major area. In fact, I said 7 cents on that one, but we did go a little bit lower than that, 6.5. Not so bad, but so far, fair enough, man. Oh my God. This thing's still bullish long term is a real question. That's not necessarily bearish. That's not necessarily bearish either. Still 7 days left to go, but I'd really be judging things off the monthly here. If you're going off the moon phases, yeah, we got a bull moon coming in tonight, I guess. So if you want to put the hopium together, I mean, you do have a higher low here. You got another fucking higher low and a series of higher lows. It's kind of hard to hate. Very interesting, man. You got a very natural stop to the downside now too. I mean, this one's I suppose still bullish as long as we're above yesterday's low essentially. I mean, you could even change that a little bit. Like I just want to not see 7 cent violated. As long as we're above 7 cent, I'd just generally still be bullish on this one. Look for a sideways consolidation right here, and then maybe later on tries for the next major areas. Still 10.5 cent is going to be a mega target right there too. Mega area of interest. Manuel Espinoza Pla says BQX BTC short term 4 hour daily, please sir. Sure, man. All right, let's see. We got Superman's Bitcoin from like years ago, and you're looking at it. Oh, whoops, that's NQX. BQX versus Bitcoin, I believe you wanted to look at. Do I have that right? Yes, I do. You're looking at 4 hour and daily. All right, daily. Actually, all things considered, holding in a lot better than most altcoins here. Yeah, very, very interesting. This one's actually already reclaimed the daily range. That's interesting. I wouldn't have expected that from this thing, but fair enough. Maybe Superman knows something. I think he does know something, in fact. I'd probably be looking for this one, again, assuming that Bitcoin does trade up towards about 36. I'd be looking for this one somewhere around about 65, 65.50-ish, 4-hour TSI turning up, 4-hour RSIs. Digging itself out. Not really too conclusive there, but 4-hour Joule did give a decent buy signal right there. So yeah, I'd be favoring some short-term continuation. Again, call me crazy on this one, but at least on the short term, this one actually has held up better than most, all things considered. I figure that this one's like long term, it's definitely definitely a very bad chart long term. But again, whatever Bitcoin does, this one will mirror. This one actually a little bit on the stronger side. Short term, I think we already got those targets. Not really too much to be excited about this one as long as you're below about 96.22, but anything within here is technically speaking more or less healthy, as we do operate on, well, what would be, I suppose, a weekly reversal. Ugly as fuck, but yeah, it is in there. It is in there, so fair enough. So Bitcoin's looking like on the very short-term timeframes. Could this be a lower high? Is it already over? Well, I don't think I'd say that just yet. All right, cool. Okay, Robin Moore says, "Oh, mighty Moonshield, do you have any recommendations for forex pair to paper trade applying strategies from your program?" Yeah. Okay, so like the big ones are the obvious ones. Euro dollar is going to be a good one to watch. Aussie dollar is going to be a good one to watch. Swiss franc dollar is going to be a good one to watch. So those three should keep you busy. If you want some more, if you want to really challenge yourself, I'm not saying that you should do this, but if you really want to challenge yourself and you like more flighty price action, I would go trade pound yen, so GBP, JPY. Also dollar yen is going to be a decent one to trade as well, but. Forex I think is a great place to learn. I don't think cryptocurrency is the best place to learn, so it's actually a really good idea that you're employing that. And yeah, man, I would generally be saying, the major pairs, the one that everyone kind of knows. I would kind of skip out on the exotic pairs. They're going to be less liquid. They're going to play less technically typically. But that should keep you busy. 4 to 5 strong pairs there. You'll always be having something to look at pretty much. Jack Assieman says, "Good morning, Krown. What's up, man? Good morning to you as well. Ethereum, Bitcoin, 12-hour and weekly." Yes, I'm very interested to see what this one's looking like today. Okay, that's an hourly. It's not what we want to be looking at. 12-hour looks like does not look good. Did we bounce off of spot 7? Still holding, still right around 6 million Satoshis. Could this be it? I do not feel confident on this one, man. The reason why I don't feel confident on this one, Jack, is because, while it does show a little bit of short-term bottoming signals, Bitcoin dominance I'm bullish on. Short-term, do we see a bit of a pullback on Bitcoin dominance? Maybe yes, but we have a very obvious reversal going on right here. We don't even need any of these. Low, high, higher, low, higher, high right here. Yeah, we might pull back and put in a higher low somewhere down around about 46 and a quarter. And in that case, Ethereum, Bitcoin rallies during that period. But long term, I still stick with what I've been saying, man. This one very likely works its way up north of 50%, maybe even more long term. Now, Ethereum, Bitcoin is kind of like an opposite chart of that almost. Looking at a weekly, it's not the worst on a weekly. Again, long term, I do like it. Just like long term on Bitcoin dominance, I don't really think that the macro trend is reversing anytime soon. Same thing on monthly Ethereum, Bitcoin pairing right here. It's like, I like this chart. This is a very good chart. And we did pretty much head back down to the last major mega breakdown from July 2018, which typically is going to act as a pivot. And so far, so good. So tentatively, I'd be saying, look, it's maybe on a low right here. I don't feel too confident with it, mostly due to Bitcoin dominance. But there's a couple of obvious things here. This last breakdown point on the 21st of June, which is 6.3 million. If you can trade back above there, I'd look for this one to essentially reclaim the median of this range back up to like 7 million Satoshis. This starts to look pretty damn good. Maybe you got some sort of like a long running falling channel here, which typically is a bullishly resolved pattern. I typically don't even talk about them on this channel, but they do have an okay degree of playing out in cryptocurrency land. Not super high, definitely not as high as triangles, and not even as good as head and shoulders, which are leave a little bit to be to be loved, if I'm using that phrase properly. But technically speaking, as long as it kind of holds this right here, I guess it would be okay. I'm making the biggest excuse for it though. I'm making a humongous excuse for it. Again, it's the monthly that I'm focused on here. And I believe you asked about a 12-hour and weekly. So I do think that it sounds like you're probably long-term, at which point you'd want to be looking at this chart right here. I really, really like this chart. Really fucking like this chart. Weekly says that we can trade down to like 3 million Satoshis. Possible, yes. Somewhere around the 21. But again, the weekly is a macro reversal. We do have higher highs and higher lows. We got the weekly golden cross over here. Can this one trade down and still maintain that? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm split as a short term is what I'm trying to say. The short term, I could just as easily see it come down basically to like low 5 million Satoshis. And just as easily maybe pop back up to like 6 million. But based off of Bitcoin dominance, I do believe the next move is probably to the downside. Long term, however, coming into especially July, August, September, I actually do like this. So take that as you will, and hopefully that was in some way helpful. Hiroshi's, hey, what's up, Hiroshi? Nice avatar, by the way. that is that is trippy looking. BRL USD. Should I sell my USD used as a hedge so far? Okay, you're talking about Brazilian real, is that right? It is a Brazilian real. Should I sell my USD? Okay, so this is yes. Well, I shouldn't tell you exactly what to do. This is not financial advice, but I do think that you're looking at a big reversal right here. Yes, you do see a golden cross on the daily. You do see that the daily is popping back above prior highs right here. I imagine this is probably also consistent on the weekly as well. Indeed, it is. This one's even almost above the high of the whole range, which is June 08 highs right here. Sorry, June, not 2008, but June 2020 on the 8th. Anywhere above this wick high or even just a closure above here, and I'd be looking for this one to really go for a nice rally up into the 23 cent region long term, which it sounds like you're probably long term if you're thinking about if you're thinking about things like that. Monthly has a tremendous amount of bullish divergence coming off the lows. Your first easy target's already been hit. This is typically what you want to see on a bit of a short-term reversal. So yeah, I do think that it will trade up north of 22 to 23 cents or so, and then come back to it after that. Long-term on the macro scale, it's just one nasty downtrend, no doubt about that. You do see this coming in right here. So that could still allow for a move up to about 22, maybe even 23 cents. So I wouldn't get too excited on this one, but yeah. Over the next few weeks, I do think that this one does have some upside here. It's looking pretty damn good, especially from momentum oscillator perspective as well. Jordan Chen, what's up, man? I long spot 29,000. Jesus Christ, man, nice one. And now I'm all in USD. Should I've waited, shorted 1x instead of selling back to USD? Okay. What's up? What's up over there, sir? Okay, let me just read this one more time. I've longed 29,000. Okay, so you had an entry at 29,000, and now I'm all in USD. Okay, so you sold your position at what price? I mean, we're kind of missing a component there. Should I have waited, shorted 1x instead of selling back to USD? No, I don't think that matters, man. Look, you can short 1x against your spot long position, and you can say, okay, well, this is kind of like taking profit right here, but I still get to maintain my entry. Okay, that's only like an ego type thing, right? Because if you want to put back on that position, whether you shorted 1x against it or not, your P&L is going to be the same, right? So it's like you get to brag about your entry and say, oh, I maintained my entry, but it's like, is your P&L any different? No. If you want to put back on the position, you put back on the fucking position. If you short 1x against it, it's the same thing. So I'd say there's no real difference. All things considered, unless if like equity is an issue, for example, and like you had to use a lot of your equity in order to cover your in order to cover your spot long position, that could maybe be a counterpoint to what I'm saying. But I don't think that's very like minutia type stuff. I don't think that's that it really matters, at least in the way that you might think it does. Your entry and exit is all that matters, and if you short 1x against it, yeah, you get to keep your entry, but you took profit effectively. So whether you put that position back on or not is up to you, but your P&L is going to be the same regardless. So that's if I'm understanding exactly your message as properly as possible, then I'd say, yeah, it's a non-event, man. Just do whichever one makes more sense for like your account, right? If you have the equity to do it, I typically like to hedge it off instead of going back to US dollar, but it's not going to make a humongous difference. No. All right, let's see. Chase LeBlanc says, Krown, can you pray for my dog Spot? Hello, Spot. I pray for you, sir. I hope you have a good dog day. He has gout, leprosy, and he pukes every time he tries to... Man, what the fuck? This dog is... Gotta put this dog to. I think he's probably joking, but maybe not. If you're not, you gotta go see a vet, man. You gotta go see a fucking vet. And he peeks every time he tries to bark. Any suggestions? A veterinarian would be a good venue to go to. I am not a veterinarian, and I actually absolutely know nothing about doggy health. Can you also look at NMDM? This is lucky. We have NMDM right here. Let's see what we got. Nano dimension on NAS. Looks good for a weekly reversal here. It's already confirmed the reversal, but this one holding the range lows, I think we're going to rally off that. Hidden bullish divergence off that last range low is a very good sign. Weekly TSI turning up as well. It looks like I'd be looking for this one to work its way back up towards about $11.5 over the next few weeks. Long term, I'm never going to be a humongous fan of these charts, but I mean, this is what the real chart looks like, right? I'm never a fan of these charts long term, but does it have some short term upside? Probably yes. Daily looks fine right here. Consolidating after a little bit, after a little bit of a downside move right there, which is completely fine. This looks more or less healthy to me. I'd be looking for short term to pop back up to 920, 9.25. Weekly probably takes it a little bit higher than that over time, and I'd be having like a big area of interest right around the 200 simple, which is probably going to align with this prior breakdown at about 11.5, we'll call it. And above there, you can start to look for another move towards the prior highs of this this rally. But again, I really don't like charts like this, so I'd be a lot more not hesitant but aggressive to be getting out at something like that if it gives you the chance. So fair enough, man. Cat dog, we got a cat dog over here. Let's see how deep. Oh my god, we're already 2 hours and 14 minutes into this bitch. What the fuck? What the hell is going on right now, man? What's up, Jeff? I see you over there. What's up, Mandan? Mr. Brian Davis. It's time where we can be at the bottom of the chats right now. Awesome puppy. It's actually not ours. We're just doing a little bit of dog sitting today. But yeah, man, he's very cute. There's actually 2 of them. They're lovers. Holy fuck, man. There's 1.1 thousand people who have already liked this video. Holy shit, man. Thank you for doing that. That's it really actually does help the channel. It must be it's probably the dogs, which you should like the video for the dogs. But thank you for doing that. I do understand that liking the video actually does quite help out the channel. So I think that's most of what we've had like actually on stream before ending. That's incredible. Holy shit. Holy shit. You want to look at gold? Yeah, we can look at gold. No problem. Gold right here, 1780. And are we going to try to put in a low in this region right here? I do think we're going to try for a low within this region, whether we've already kind of seen it or it drops down to like 1735. I don't have a strong opinion on that. Looking at the daily, looks like we could drop down to like 1730 first, perhaps. But overall, I do think it will try for a low within this vicinity, whether it be, from 1750 or all the way down to 1735. And we probably do see a little bit of a try back up towards 1825, 1830-ish region coming into next month. Other than that, I don't really have a strong opinion on this one. I do want to check out the very high term timeframes here and see what we got going on. Quarterly, not giving me much. If anything, this would be potentially a higher low right here on the quarterly, which would be rather nice. 6 month, what do we see? Not giving much to me here either. I guess it'd be slightly good if I had to say something about that, but I don't have any strong opinion about it. Bi-weekly, yeah, says that we probably test the downside first before trying for another base and then trying maybe an upside move later. But whether this one comes down $50 or not from where we're currently at, that's going to be minutia when we're looking at the monthly. So I'd really be paying attention to the monthly closure. I think that it's possible we might have a quarterly higher low, which would be really fucking good long term. Same thing on the monthly as well. It's like we did have a higher low right here. Good. Now we got to hold the range and make a higher high. Otherwise, this one will keel back on over. But I give it the benefit of the doubt for right now, at least after a short term downside move if it wants to have it. Spank off accumulation. It could be a spank off accumulation. Do you like your spank off accumulation? I love to spank off in the night right before bed. It makes you sleep nice and healthily, sir. Go snore your way through the night, man. Can you do ASAN? Sure. What's this? ASAN. What is this? Asana. Okay. A real stock. Hey, there we go. Not a whole hell of a lot of history here, but short term, probably a little bit of toppy. Yeah, it looks a little bit toppy to me. Short term probably plays back down to like low $50, maybe 50 or $51. But on the monthly, do I like this? Yeah, I generally like this, but this one's gonna have a humongous range coming into July. So I'd be looking for sideways and down from here. I do think that you've kind of seen the totality of this, of this blow off top for right now. Daily BBW fuse, what gives you that bias when we see it get really, really high up there. We're probably at a macro pivot or at least a major pivot. And I'm getting plenty of warning signals over here that the rally is certainly waning in strength. So, probably chops a little bit sideways and trades downside. Maybe later this year tries another move towards the upside. But for now, I think it is more or less done. Okay, what else we got? No problem, Mr. Hiroshi. 2 hours in bull moon. Those likes, my fucking man. It is, it's a fun time. Oh, we got another dislike though. That's good. We need to balance it out a little bit more. That's good. There should be more people who hate this stream. That is a very healthy thing to be doing. You should not like my stupid fucking face. That's just a given, man. That's just fucking given. Any chance of looking at BNB? Yeah, we can look at BNB and maybe we'll end it right there. Or maybe there's one more good one to go off of. Where's my BNB? I think I even have it on these lists. It used to be rather popular, not so much anymore. Yeah, actually another example of one that actually has held the range better than most, to be fair, bouncing off the 200 simple right there. I want to see it close above the 200 exponential moving average in this case, which is 298. We could just say $300 in this case, and then extend targets back up to about 330, 340-ish region. Again, going to depend more or less what on Bitcoin does, but short term, 4 hour. Find a little bit of resistance right at the 21 there. Do we have potential hidden bearish divergence to be aware of? Not yet, no. Again, I favor what Bitcoin does over this thing, but you have a natural stop on this one. Looking for new lows on this current potential, what would be a trap on the other side, below about 265. But as long as you're above there, I generally look for it to probably trade higher. Getting back up to 320 or 330 is certainly not out of the question. Again, depends mostly on what Bitcoin does. In fact, let's go back to Bitcoin here and maybe siphon this one up a little bit more. Oh, we got Ocean Lou. What's up, Ocean? P Dog. Yeah, we can look at that. All right, what's P Dog doing? P Dog. Okay. P Dog. P Dog. I know a P Dog. Down. Looks shitty. Looks very bad. This is a 4 hour. You did not include a time frame, but yeah, this is not good. Not much history here. I don't really feel too confident analyzing something like this, but if I had to, I'd probably be looking for another reproach of yesterday's lows. Does not look good, man. This is a pump and dump chart right here, but I don't know if we're even maybe looking at the right thing. Maybe you're looking at like I was going to say maybe you're looking at an actual stock, but no, you're not, because this is the only thing that comes up when I type in that. Yeah, man, I'm not a fan of this. There is nothing to be excited about this thing as long as you're below about 11 right there. I mean, this lower high right here is just atrocious. So not a whole hell of a lot of history, to be fair, but for the history that we do have, very bad, very fucking bad. It's like a poo dog. It is a poo dog right there. Krown, you need a Latvian oak leaves and possibly a toga. I'm in. I'm fucking in, baby. I haven't worn a toga since college. Do you? Please don't give it to me. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, are there any good ones to be going off of? I mean, most things move in tandem. S-Ross, most things move in tandem. Matic, we can look at Matic really quickly. I'd like to see what this one's going, and then we'll wrap this bitch up and send her off. Matic over here, 118. A little bit of a short-term pushback, perhaps. But what do we got going on right now? Again, another one of the better actors, I would say. Hasn't really broken below the late May lows thus far. Oh my God, it's the hats coming in right now. Sir, my hair is already bad enough. Do you need to do this?
No, it's
oh my
better.
God, you disgust me, sir. You disgust me. Looking at this one, man, again, gonna follow whatever Bitcoin does, but I would say I'd be tentatively looking for a little bit of upside testing as long as we're above about 109, 110 region right here. Below there, I'd be looking for this one to shatter alongside the rest of the market, essentially, and next major level is going to be down around about 73.5 cents or so. So let's go back to Bitcoin. Let's start to wrap this one up. Let's start to wrap this bitch up. So go back to Bitcoin on the very short-term timeframes here, and let's come up with something a little bit more obvious, because technically speaking, as of right now, Bitcoin would be putting in, another lower high, to be fair, if it does top out right here. It is certainly not topped out just yet, and if we look at momentum oscillators, I'd say that it's not really showing too many toppy signals for what it's worth right now. Okay, so we do have one thing to be aware of right here. We do have one thing. There is potential for hidden bearish divergence between this point right here on the 20th of June, our highs right here, and this high right here. This one has not confirmed a local high just yet, and it will not confirm a local high on this current 4-hour dildo, which closed in 38 minutes. But if we do close something like this, like a doji dildo, and then come below this 4-hour low, which is currently 33,569, then yes, technically speaking, this would be an aggressive lower high, and we could look for a move back down to about 32,500-ish region. Now, the thing with this is, or actually, I want to look at momentum over here too. Let's see, what does our 4-hour look like? 4 hour remains to the upside as long as we're about 29.6. What about 3 hour? 3 hours showing 31,385. By hourly is showing 33,365. Hourly is showing 34,200. What is 12 hours showing? 30,900. And daily is showing 35,500. What is 2 day showing? 35,400. 3 day is showing 32,300. And man, we're all over the place. But a lot of things situated about 35.5. Okay, so here's what we can say. I do still think that this has potential to be a decent trap right here. Volume signature, also open interest, also also what we saw in volatility metrics, and also just the fact that we have more or less reclaimed the bottom side of the range after a bit of a dip below on low volume. I would say that this is a generally okay sign, and I do think that it is possible for Bitcoin to work its way back up towards about 36 or 36,500, wherever the 21 is on the daily. I would be looking for a short-term pullback from there, and where does that pullback come to? Maybe like 35,000 bucks or so. But ultimately, as long as the pullback doesn't break below, let's call it like 34.5, especially 35,000 bucks, I'd probably be looking for this one to actually push on through the range to the top side of the range. But that is still very far away. I'll probably make a short video later today to follow up on that if necessary. But for right now, looks decent enough, I suppose. And of course, this always comes with a contingency on the other side. I will be looking for new lows on Bitcoin on the, below yesterday's dump, essentially. If Bitcoin comes back down and especially closes a 4 hour delta below about 32,500, I'd even say just coming back down to 32,000 bucks would probably be bad enough. But as of this moment right here, it looks like we're on a bit of a precipice right now. You can see the hourly is kind of stalling out as it does trade a little bit of sideways after what would have been considered somewhat of an inverted head and shoulders breakout right here. So we really don't want to see, even from an hourly perspective, we really don't want to see any closures below 33,000 bucks. That would be a big warning flag. If that happens, I'd probably say this trap's going to fail, or at least the trap is done and it turns into a bit of a bull trap on the other side. But again, remember, here is the thing: if we do close this daily dodo like this, or especially higher, anywhere above 34,000 bucks, looks pretty damn good. We will have multiple drives of bullish divergence come off the lows. And even the daily jewel will probably start to curl around there too, which would look pretty damn good. So, there's opportunities on both sides. I wouldn't say that anything is too conclusive just yet, but it does look like the upside's a little bit more likely right here. This is not calling a macro low just yet. There's still much more things that need to be going on, but Bitcoin wants to have general continuation. 36 is the general target there. And could we be using the last hourly local high as a bit of a continuation point? Kind of. I'd just generally be on the short-term bullish side as long as Bitcoin remains above, especially 33,000 bucks. I think you could go even as low as about 32.5, but an hourly closure below 33, this one starts to look not so hot anymore. And with that said, I think it's a good place to leave you off at. I want to wish you the best of the best and the happiest. It's been an absolute pleasure once again. Take care and see you hopefully soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it, build it, try it, bend it, fork it, hype it,